All right. All right. So Chris. All right. So I have Vanessa and Atara, and they're gonna help assist starting off the dialogue. I'm gonna start with the introduction. So this particular conference is entitled "How to Become an American National." So this is for everybody that's interested in becoming an American national, have questions, concerns, all around the board. So we're gonna go over some topics today. Starting off, like I said, the first couple hours we're gonna try to be structured within the first couple hours, and then after that, we can go off until our normal networking phase like we normally do. But from the first couple hours, we really got to pay the homage and respect. Hold on. Watch y'all microphones, please. So the first couple hours, we have to pay homage and respect to our guests because they're going to be there on the platform to help assist us answer these questions in the most efficient ways possible. So that being said, I want to introduce Chris to the building. And everybody can hear you, Chris. Everybody else, you just mute. They only can hear us.
Okay.
Okay, so Chris, the first thing I want to kick it off with is and I'm asking Atara and Vanessa. I'm asking you, Atara, Vanessa, and Abiyah to assist and jump in whenever I toss you the ball, because I'm not in the best mood right now because I'm irritated because of how this just started off. So I'm gonna need you guys to help balance my energy on that. So but what I want to start off by discussing is the birth certificate, the social security number. We're going to talk about traveling versus driving. We're going to talk about, we're going to get into a lot of different things. So first off, I want to start off, if possible. Here we go with the echoes, talking about the birth certificate. So it's a lot of misinterpretation and misinformation regarding the birth certificate and the whole process behind discharging debt behind the birth certificate, sending your birth certificate here, doing this and doing that. And I want to ask you, Chris, to help clarify and clear the air with a lot of the misinformation out there, and to give people more clarity, understanding the proper use in the process.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, no echo?
No, ma'am.
All right. Okay, so what I would like to start out, I would like to just say I'm glad to be here. I see there's a lot of you on here. I would like to go over a little bit what we have learned with the birth certificate. I know there's a lot of you out there that are seeking to, discharge debt, set off debt, things with the birth certificate. However, what people do not understand is that that is exactly where certain high up people want us to be focused, because that birth certificate never was yours and never will be yours. So I like to give an example of a story or just an analogy. Let's say you had a baby girl and your neighbor lady comes over to visit you to see your new baby girl, and you name her Samantha May, and the neighbor lady says, "Oh, she is the most precious baby. I love her. I love her name." And she says, "And by the way, I'm starting a cookie business. Can I use your little girl's name, Samantha May? And I'm going to start a cookie business and call it Samantha May Cookies." And you think, "Oh, that's cool. She likes it so much, she's going to use that name." So you say, "Oh, of course you can. That's cute." And so she goes home and she starts a corporation, a business called Samantha May. You gave her the permission to do that. And then down the road, she comes back and she says, "I have this little paper. Could you sign this that it's okay that I use her name?" But she has a bunch of fine print behind it that you don't look at. You just think that it's neat that she wants to use your baby's name. So what happens then is you sign this paper unknowing that she made your baby girl liable for all the debts on her Samantha May cookie business and everything. She made her little baby liable, and you just signed her away without even knowing it. That's exactly what happens with the birth certificate. Does that make that baby Samantha May, does that make her that corporation? No. Does it make her liable? No, but the mother unknowingly signed that she was. So the key that we need to look for is to unlink ourselves from that mistake that our mother made. And that we can do through what we call the perfected title package. You have to put in certain documents to certain places of the state through the law HJR 192. That law made it so that when the United States went bankrupt, they took away all of our real money, all of our gold and silver. They had to leave a remedy. They cannot just take it and not leave a remedy. What we have today is there's nothing behind it. So per HJR 192, they made it so that you could turn the reversionary interest of those debts back to the United States Incorporated. And then therefore the HJR 192 says in a nutshell basically that they are liable for all the debts. So that's very important to realize that, because again, what happens when a baby is born? They take the little footprints, which what that does is it removes the child immediately off of the land into the sea. And those of you that know the Bible, there's some very fascinating things. It tells all about this happening. And it talks about the beast standing before the woman who is to be delivered of a child. And it says he is to devour the child before it touches the earth. And it says, and the earth helped the woman, and the earth swallowed up the flood. The earth, the land is so important. So when they take your feet, the baby's feet, they are taking the baby and putting it into admiralty or the law of the sea. And then they say that the mother has abandoned the child is lost at sea. So then it becomes their property under admiralty, and they take the child's sweat equity. They promise all of its life the sweat equity is going to back the Federal Reserve notes. And I actually have found a Federal Reserve note that matched one of my older children's birth certificates. The serial number was exactly the same. What they do is they take the birth certificate and they write all kinds of Federal Reserve notes using that serial number off of your birth certificate, which you think is yours. But what they do, actually, I'm kind of getting off track just a bit.
No, that's it. No, that's right on point.
The baby, they take the baby, once they take the footprints, there's 3 levels. They have the little hospital certificate with the footprints. Then what they do is, that's the first step. That would be like where they stole the baby. They kidnapped the baby basically it's kidnapping with consent of the mother. She doesn't know it, but that's what's happening. Once that step is completed, then they go into what they do, live. Some of them are called, I think mine was called Certificate of Live Birth. It's that long form where it has everything, the mother's name, the father's name, the age, and on and on and on, social security numbers. Once they have that in place, then they create it's sort of a corporation. I don't know exactly the exact structure of what they create. Some say it's a corporation, some say it's a trust. Let's just call it a corporation or a corporate trust. There are corporate trusts. Let's just call it that. We don't know for sure what it is because we can't see the structure, but let's just use that as an example. So they create a corporate structure, a trust. And the first thing they do is bond it. Remember, every claim, even their claim that now the child is lost at sea and is their property, every claim must be bonded to be valid. All of us for years have been going around making claims. We reply to these court summons. We reply to this, we reply to that. But when we put in a claim, we don't bond it. So therefore, the judge just throws it out. Now, I know some cases where they have bonded, put silver bonds in, and the case disappears, but the judge is very dishonest and sneaks behind and opens up a new case just so they can keep on. So it's, that's what we're dealing with. However, let's get back to what happens with the baby. So they create the corporation. and they create a bond. The bond is actually the birth certificate, the one that you get from the state that has, you know, it looks like it's on check paper. If you look, it's got the watermarks and all that stuff. That's actually the bond. Now, what their goal is to trade that soul or that baby on the stock market. And again, in the Bible, it tells us exactly how they're doing. It says they are buying and selling souls of men. That's exactly what it's talking about, is this process. So what they do is they can't trade the actual bond, so they create an insurance wrap, which we call, when we talk about bonds, we can call it a SKR. But the insurance wrap is what they actually trade. And guess what that is? That is the Social Security number. That is your insurance wrap that they're actually trading on the stock market. And in the past years, sometimes we've come across, been able to get into Fidelity and actually look at the trading and see it going. I know I did on my own one time, and I was amazed. I think there were like 30 some companies in other countries, big corporations, that were trading on my, I call it mine. It's not even mine. On that insurance wrap, on that fake entity they created using the name that my mother chose. So that's what happens there. So let's clear this up, that this is not our birth certificate. And as you can see, with different people that have tried and we thought they got really close and they were maybe doing set-offs and stuff, they'll let them get about so far and they'll arrest them every time, because it would be just like this. If you own something and somebody next door to you took the name of what you owned and started using it and tried to set off their debts, well, you'd have them arrested because it's yours. It's not even their property. That's what's going on. They've been trying to keep us distracted from the truth of this for a long time, because if they can keep us busy on going down rabbit holes, oh, they just are laughing behind their hands. That's so funny to them, because they think that we're just going to keep on and we're not going to ever find the truth. The truth is lawful money. There's a connection that we had in the Treasury Department. I want you to pay attention to this specifically, particularly. Listen closely. There was a connection that we had in the Treasury Department. There is a whole department in the Treasury for keeping track of pre-1933 silver dollars. And the reason for that is because they told us that is the only thing standing between the people, the living people, and the public debt. That is the only thing standing between the people and the public debt. So as you see, he's got a silver coin, pre-1933 silver coin. We asked for a valuation on those coins. And the first valuation they came back with, which was over 2 years ago, they said those coins are valued in the Treasury at $1 million per silver coin. Now, about 6 or 8 months ago, we got a second valuation just to see. And they told us the coins are valued at $1 billion per silver coin. That's the Treasury valuation. So you can see how deflated they are keeping the real money right now. They are seriously deflating it. I think silver's gone down to $18 or $19 a coin for those coins that they're valuing at that. Okay, so on another note, just to give you a little, another little interesting tidbit, a friend of mine went to a men's retreat where there were several federal judges, and he was visiting with them at the dinner. And he said to one of them, he said, I have a question for you. He said, if I went someplace like Beverly Hills and I have like a one pre-1933 silver dollar, I should be able to buy anything I want, shouldn't I? And he said that judge looked so startled, and he looked at him and his eyes were wide and his mouth was open, and he said, you know what, boy, the only thing I can tell you is you are on the right track. So when we actually go and we get these silver coins, now we know that 21 silver coins is considered, it actually considers you being a freeholder, meaning you are no longer a debtor. You're actually solvent. And the secret here is to make sure that you are solvent, and you put a notice or declaration of solvency. And we have actually seen cases where there was a declaration of solvency put in and the case went away because they can only charge a debtor. If you're solvent, you're not considered a debtor. So one thing that's interesting is that we have found you can do is we've been looking for remedy with the birth certificate. But if you take these 21 silver coins and you create a bond that can be used, that bond is what you've been looking for in your birth certificate for years, but you don't have to struggle to try to take ownership of something that never was yours.
Amen. And also not have to worry about the liability that comes with trying to take ownership.
Exactly. That's the biggest danger. That is where so many people have gone to prison. So many people. I know so many people over the last 20 years. And that's the very reason, because we don't own it. Just because it has a name that matches ours, we don't own it. So we're, you're free and clear when you actually hold that silver. You are a freeholder, and the title of a freeholder is actually the highest title you can hold. It's above a king.
Now, okay, so that's with the birth certificate. Now, what about the individuals that are chasing the Social Security money?
Well, it's the same thing. That's just the insurance wrap on the birth certificate. That Social Security money is the insurance wrap on their birth certificate. They created that bond. They've been trading it in stocks and stuff. It'd be just like, what if you were trading your silver bond all this time and you had money built up and somebody came along and tried to steal it? I think you'd be pretty mad too, and trap them and put them in prison.
Right. Mm-hmm. Considering somewhere down the line throughout your life, they have a contract still set that you agreed to at some point that they can tie you back into the jurisdiction by
Yeah,
trying to reach for that particular number or that
exactly.
birth contract. Okay.
Yeah, you're right.
Now, so definitely for sure, no one should be trying to play both sides as far as chasing the birth certificate, the social, and trying to operate in the private as far as create the creation of their own independent silver bonds. Because
Yeah.
it'd be like a stepping on your own 2 feet.
Mm-hmm.
It defeats the purpose. Now, can we explain a little bit the difference between status and standing?
Well, basically, it's a play on words. Again, we always have to remember, the military has a operation they call boots on the ground.
Okay.
Have you ever thought of that?
No.
We are Operation Feet on the Land.
Operation.
They're telling us something there. The only way you have any rights is if you can your status is simply something in the corporate fiction world. Standing means your feet are on the land. You're a freeholder. You're a living being. The land is so important. We just have no idea how important the land is.
I said that because a lot of 95% of, well, 99% of probably everybody that's going through these processes are chasing status correction, this, status that. And I haven't seen anybody, talking about standing.
Yeah, and that's the thing. If somebody puts in an affidavit of status, it just makes me cringe, because affidavits can only be corporation to corporation, and status means, what is the status of this corporation? It really is. You're supposed to put in a declaration of standing.
So that's when we go into declarations versus affidavits.
Total difference, yes.
So basically a layman's term definition as far as the difference between affidavits and declarations mean affidavits are communication between the corporations, and declarations are communications from the flesh and blood man and woman to whomever.
To whomever, yeah.
Okay, that brings a thought too. Also, when the so-called Declaration of Independence, when we were up under the assumption that they declared it on our behalf, they didn't tell us that we had to declare our own in order to be independent.
Exactly. You're exactly right.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, you're assumed to be a slave unless you declare that you declare you're standing on the land. Otherwise, you're automatically, by default, a slave.
Okay. All right. Next thing up is identification. Well, let's talk about travel. Different traveling versus driving. It's a huge misinterpretation and mix of information, and a lot of failures out there with a lot of these ID cards people are driving around with, or these private license plates that have no numbers, nothing backing it up. Can you explain that a little bit?
Well, you probably can explain that as good as I can. Well,
uh,
I'm not exactly sure what all people are doing. I mean, yes, I've been there, done that all the years, and all that, seen all the, through the whole USDOT thing, blah blah blah. We used to do all that stuff, but basically, um,
well, okay, I'll start this one off.
yeah,
Okay, so everybody's reaching for identification cards. You know, everybody's looking for identification. A lot of people have some form of identification cards for their nationalities. Now, but the thing is the problem is that those identification cards are not respected. Um, for one, a lot of us have a lot of paperwork sitting around that could be valid, but we don't know how to address and give acknowledgement to the proper authorities or proper parties or agencies. You know, another thing is that it's not backed by anything, and it's not authenticated. You know,
hmm
so it's like it's you just walking around with a piece of plastic. You know, and true enough, we can design our own. Anybody can make a identification card, but how are what are you going to do to notify the proper authorities, and how are they going to respect that when it's ran? It still has to be. It's almost like the whole analogy of, okay, we don't want to necessarily register our property with the corporation, but we have to be registered in some way, form, fashion, if that makes sense. You know, not registered up under the corporation, but register with, maybe. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, yeah. They need to be able to verify, see the authentication. Every state, every Secretary of State can search what's called the global record number. They have given a global record number, um, to us. And I'll just give you one example of one time. One of our members was in an airport, and the TSA did not want to let her go through with her ID card. And so, because we had the global record number, one of our team called up to the Secretary of State's office in that state where she was held up. And they said, can you look up, we have a global record number on an ID card. Can you look it up? And he said, certainly we can. And he looked it up and he said, yeah, that's a valid ID. And she said, well, the TSA is holding up one of our members at an airport. It was about 2 hours from the Secretary of State's office. The agent from the Secretary of State actually drove 2 hours down there to the airport, to the TSA. And he brought the information from the database, and he said, this is a valid global record number. This is a valid ID, blah, blah, blah. TSA looked at him and says, we don't have to listen to anything you say. We're not under your jurisdiction. Just leave. And he took our member aside and he apologized, and he said, you know what? He said, TSA is simply a rogue agency, a rogue foreign agency set up here. He said, it is the most frustrating thing. He said, yes, your ID is valid, and any Secretary of State can validate it in the right department when you do a global record number search. So it's in every Secretary of State. Not only that, it is in the some of the, oh, come on, what am I saying? The World Court has been, it's all about the, again, the Declaration of Standing, and the notice of what our nation is. It's all about getting it everywhere that needs to be.
Yeah, because it's another misinterpretation as far as our relationships, as far as contracting with the corporation or the corporate states within the corporation. Is like some think that okay, we don't need to deal with the corporation, but in all actuality, the corporation still maintains control over this particular soil.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to understand how to contract with the corporations and the states within the corporation. Uh, so we break the initial contracts to remove liability and correct our standing with doing certain things and certain operating in commerce. But ultimately, we still would have certain contracts with the state. These things work because there is a contract in place, but the contract that's in place is not the contract that they gave us or that we applied for. It's the contract that we created as the creators,
Yeah.
and we have tangible proof of those contracts by way of the methods of delivery that we use. You know, the
That's
certified
right.
mails, the registered mails, and stuff like that, making it a bonded contract.
Yeah, and every registered mail number actually has a QSIP number attached to it. It's goes through the whole world, not just here.
So
So,
that, speaking of the registered mail numbers, we need to every chance you get try to rack up on as many of those registered mail slips as possible because they're trying not to give those out. They'll wrestle and tussle with you, trying not to give you those slips.
I
Somebody,
just ordered 600 roll from USPS.
really?
Free.
I'm gonna
They were
need.
free.
Let me get one.
I mean, it was like a 600 roll. I just went online, act like I was a business, and they were free. They should be in the mail next week.
Now, now let me know what happens when you get
Okay.
that because what I did the same thing,
Did you?
but I ended up getting a roll of stickers that had no numbers on it.
Okay.
I
I'll
threw it
let you know.
I threw it directly out the window.
I just got notification yesterday because I'm tracking it that they were mailed.
Oh, right. See, Akil, they send him the same package. Look.
Same thing?
Right. They send you a big roll of stickers that just says register, but that's no, it wasn't
Really?
official.
I can't wait to see now.
They are trained. A lot of them are trained not to give those registered labels out. They don't because they it's like they're trained, but they're not educated as to exactly what those the value of it, like we're talking about right here. Some of them do know though. I think because
Well, don't let them tell you no because I went into a post office and I told him I needed about 10 of them. And he was going to hand them to me, and another lady came and said, "We can't give those out." I said, "Yes, you can." He said, "Well, let me go ask in the back." Came back. He said, "Yes, we can." So some of them just don't know.
mm,
But don't take no for an answer.
I want to know what can we. Is there some type of law or statute we can have to address when they try to deny that service? Because that's a service they're denying. I've been told that, well, bring your stuff up here and I'll put it on there for you. Like, this is none of your business. So
Right.
why do I have to bring my stuff up here? So I'm like, this, I need the number to put on the document. So
On
how
the
am I
dot.
going to,
That's what I
you know
told
what I'm
him.
saying? And I shouldn't have to explain that to you.
You
Why,
shouldn't.
you know what I'm saying? So that's the whole thing with that. So definitely rack up on the registered mail numbers, you know,
Yeah, I'll let you know.
and the certified mail just in case they start shutting that down.
yeah,
But
I had one postmaster just recently tell me, I mean, they just won't give them out around here, and they'll call. There's one head office over a bunch of different smaller offices, and the head office refuses to give them out here. And the little ones, if you go to any of the little ones, they'll call up there and they'll tell them, nope, you don't give them out. The one postmaster, she told me, she said, "Oh, well, I didn't know those were to give out." She said, "I thought we used them." She said, we use them like a check." And I was all ears, and I'm like,
oh, really?
and she goes, so she goes, what we do with them is every day when we take in all the money from the post office, we use those as a deposit. We use one of the registered numbers. And I'm thinking, oh,
Like, yep, bookmark. Thank you. Yep, definitely. Okay, so moving forward, so basically those are the basics of as far as the actual identifications and why they work, and as far as the process, um, the whole authentication backing it up, the whole proper notice giving that's backing it up. But now people always wonder, like, once you become an American national, can I use this identification card to travel with? And that the answer to that is no, because it cannot work independently by itself. It has to work in conjunction with a international driving permit. And not just the one you get from AAA that everybody keeps talking about. Now, beyond just driving with the two combinations, the dual marriage alongside with your proper authentication paperwork in the vehicle that you're driving in, also taking it to a further extent is removing our vehicles outside the jurisdiction of that particular state and putting that property into a trust. And then you can back me up on that, because we go all the way down to operating with the state plates, but protecting the assets of the property by putting it into a trust, but also going to the further extent is actually having our own American national plates that's tied to a global record number.
Okay, yeah, I can go over that just a little bit. There's a lot of members that one of maybe their other half, their spouse, is nervous. They don't want to go out of the system. There's a lot of them that want to go out of the system, but maybe one of their family that's going to be using the car doesn't. Or if it's an area where the police are very, they want to attack you for anything, and they're just, they don't want to follow anything, whatever. It just depends on how you feel, your level of comfort, basically, and who's going to be using the car.
I'm glad you said that, because I forgot about that part when as far as the difference between just going through the first initial stage of just transferring the property out of the straw man into the trust, as opposed to, because if you just do that, anybody can drive the car and be protected. But if you go through the full extent of getting the actual American national plates, you have to be the only one you're the only one that's protected driving that car, correct?
Well, you or anybody else that has the same credentials.
Anybody has the same
the American national, yeah.
Gotcha.
So basically, if you put the car in the trust and you actually title it into that trust, you have the choice of either just doing a title and going the route of the private registration and plates, or, which, is a lot of work. You have to do the non-UCC bonded claims, all that stuff. You want to make sure that car is protected. You don't want, you don't want it to be, and really, I believe the only place that we have seen where it hasn't worked is one area where I think I already spoke with you with.
Indiana?
Yeah, where you are.
I'm always in the worst short end of the stick.
Yeah, I know. And so there's one area, but the harassment had been going on for many, many years. And that is, as far as we have had any reports, that's the only place where they're not letting loose. They're actually just, being like a bulldog on this thing. Which is big, because we have a lot of members all over the country. I mean, and in California, for example, there was a lady that was going down the freeway. She had one of the American national tags, and she heard, as she was traveling on the freeway, she heard some motorcycles coming up behind her, and she didn't think much of it. She just continued to travel, and then she looked in her rearview mirror as they got close, and here it was a group of about 20 motorcycle police.
Oh.
And she said, she was like, what's going on? And as they got up behind her, some of them, they split in three groups. One group went in front, one behind, and one on the other side of her, the side of the lane that she wasn't on. And they all turned their lights on. And she was just, what's going on? But she said they just looked straight ahead and they kept going. So she kept going. And she said they went down the freeway like that for probably 10 miles. And she said then when they got to an exit where these motorcycles were planning to exit, they all saluted to her, shut off their lights, and made their exit. They were actually recognizing her as a diplomat standing. And California has been really good. I mean, they have been really even sending people back letters from the DMV thanking them for sending in the silver bond and that they accepted it and things like that. I mean, it's really amazing there. It's just some of our other states that most states are pretty good, but like I said, Indiana, I think you guys need to do some work.
Yeah, even still, Illinois has some type of issues in Crook County, but
Yeah.
you know, it's been ways around stuff and more successes than failures. But
Yeah.
so I know everybody. The next thing is probably across people's mind. We talk about traveling, traveling freely, or protected instead of driving while contracted to the state. Um, Protecting the vehicle inside the trust, and you think about insurance next. So right now we're operating because the silver bond covers your pretty much the property as like a liability insurance.
Right.
And but even though there's not really a full coverage insurance, we can still do a bonded claim or something like that against an accident case, right?
Well, we have had 3 members that we know of that have had accidents using them. And the one, it was his fault. It was an older gentleman. It was his fault. And what happened was you still just give them you receive your insurance card when you get the car liability through American National. You actually get your little insurance card that has all the information on it. And you just give it to the other party's insurance company, or the police officer always asks for insurance. They just share it with them. Well, the other party's insurance collected for him, but they wanted him to pay $100 deductible, which I thought was very good because he had totaled the other party's car.
Oh wow, yeah.
So they covered it. They wanted the $100 deductible, and that was it. There was another case where it was kind of both parties' fault. He shared his with the other party, and he got a new car out of the deal. It's the other party's insurance. They can always collect on it. It's simply, if you hit a deer and something, we need somebody to help us figure out how to collect. We know you can, but how? That's the issue.
Exactly. That's interesting. Another illusion and misunderstanding is I have a lot of people that want to know the basic differences between the traditional UCC, the agriculture lien on the UCC, and the non-UCC.
Well, we have to realize everything has 2 sides. There's public and private. Every coin has heads and tails, right? Mm-hmm. Everything has 2 sides. There's nothing that they have out there that there's not a private side. Mm-hmm. And they had to, because they can't take everything away and not leave a remedy.
Right.
So that basically the private side of the UCC is a non-UCC. And it's done differently. I mean, not sure what that is. But yeah, it's done differently to where you can use your silver bond and you're putting in a claim, so you better bond it.
Right.
You better bond it.
So basically so when we're talking about bonds in general, that's an important concept. Just in general, understanding the importance of being bonded in general. Just like I like the situation about, what was that, a lady that was in the hospital that they partially conscious and unconscious, and she overheard the doctor speaking about her bond.
Yeah, they actually could see it. Well, we have 2 types of bonds. There's the freehold bond, which basically stays on the county level and establishes you as a freeholder. there's also the treasury bond, which you don't get, you know, there's other processes like the perfected title that you've got to do before you can actually send this into the treasury. You can get that once you get the treasury bond and it gets sent in, it actually apparently goes through the system because in that certain scenario, they were able to see it. They were able to see it in their system when they typed in the patient's information. So that's pretty interesting.
$21 billion bond, huh?
Yep.
Razor,
Yep. What's up?
SPC. I've been doing submissions too. I got a homie that's been doing the secure party for like 25 years, and you guys are speaking about the bond. And I'm holding the bond in my hand. His bond that he put on record on his UCC bond. He put a non-negotiable private bond in for $5 billion. And it's on his UCC collateral. It's on that collateral part you got to talk about. And is that what you guys are basically saying? Create the bond and claim it.
Okay. All right, look, check it out. Yeah, this is the thing. At this point, a lot of people on the panel have come across the general paperwork. They've seen the bonds. They've seen all the agreements, the copyright notices, the trademark notices, the indemnity bonds, all this stuff. But there's one huge aspect that's missing from that. Those bonds are nothing but ink printed on paper, and there's nothing backing it up. So the whole thing with this is we're developing and creating our own bonded instruments that are backed by actual real money, by silver. You see what I mean? So that right there trumps any fiat or any debt system. So that's the whole point behind that. Now, true enough, just doing the instruments the traditional way, claiming it on UCC, and within certain methods, yeah, it can work. Vanessa has had success with creating her own bond, and so it does work. But we're talking about superior weight. Nothing can trump the royalty standing of operating in real money and true commerce is dealing with gold and silver. Like we're talking about situations where you're talking about a debt. Like say if you have a court case, and we want to hold those police officers and those judges liable for whatever reason, or they're discriminating, or for whatever, we want to clear those debts. We can force those officers into what, a Chapter 7, or to force those officers to resign. If we place a bonded claim against our bond against those particular officers, I don't know any type of indemnity bond that can do that type of damage without being backed by anything.
Yeah, I think the secret goes back to the silver. I mean, it goes back to the land and the earth. I mean, the gold and silver are from the earth. It just all goes back to the earth. All.
See, it's a misinterpretation that the silver, because even when you buy the silver right now, you'll see like the Morgan silvers, they'll say not in circulation and stuff like that. When they say not in circulation, they mean it's not in public circulation as far as use. Like we're not walking up to the store with a bag of silver purchasing stuff like that. Publicly, that's correct. But what about the private side? And that's what we're talking about.
Exactly. You're right. You are right.
Let me see. Okay, let's talk about emergency circumstances. You have one in mind, Chris? Like some people like coming in with emergencies.
Well, yeah, I do, because I've had a number myself, and a big one is when all of a sudden CPS tries to take your children. That's every mother's worst fear, her worst nightmare. Mm-hmm. And what we found on that is it's really amazing, because what you can do is you can get the non-UCC bonded claim on those children, and once they're bonded, in my case, I actually got a letter back from the state attorney general saying that there was no, the claims that CPS had tried to make, it was unfounded. There was nothing that could be done because I sent in a superior claim. I actually sent it to the social worker, and I told him that because of my standing, my private standing, I could not talk to her in anything other than her private capacity. I could not talk to her in her job capacity. And I said, I'm attaching my paperwork for you to see. And I said, if you do not understand it, please get an attorney. And that's, I never heard another word. I mean, they were gone now. And it was like, well, it was just a matter of not very long, and the it came back from that letter came back saying that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a couple people on here dealing with that same issue right now. That's why.
I got a question.
Mm-hmm.
What's the proactive step to take to where it doesn't get to CPS for your children?
You do the bonded claim first. You do it all first. Well, there's always going to be people that want to report you, or sometimes it's an ex-spouse that want to cause trouble. But if you have that bonded claim in place beforehand, and also with my last children, I don't have even any birth certificate, but now the live born arrival record is the ANPC has the live born arrival record for American nationals that establishes them right off the bat as being a living baby born on the land immediately.
So when you do that UCC one, who gets the notices other than you doing it?
Nobody needs to be noticed until there's an issue. When there's an issue, it's going to shut it down right now from what we've seen.
Because that claim is already in, it's already registered, it's already active.
Exactly. I mean, if you wanted to, you could do a notice of that. You could do a notice of that bonded claim, which you usually get when American National does a bonded claim. They always give you a notice of bonded claim letter that if you choose to, you can go and record in your county recorder. Or you can run a newspaper article with a drive link, Google Drive link to that notice, and actually run it in the newspaper as well as a public notice. You can do that, and that, it's just depending on your situation or what you think might,
Speaking of notice, of course, we're trying to figure out more perfected and convenient ways. Of course, a lot of us throughout the filing processes have bumped into a particular type of clerk that decides not to do his or her job, as far as filing our documents. And what I tell people is, like, first, I mean, just like one of my counties in both states. Actually, Indiana doesn't trip when I file in Indiana. If I file in Lake, or if I file in Cook County, Illinois, we always have problems there. So we have to drive out to the next county to put everything on record. Now, it makes you wanna put your things on a record in the county that you was born in, or the county that you live in, but as long as you have those things on a record inside a county, it's still effective and it's still works.
Okay, but here's a trick. Here's a little trick that everybody wants to listen to. There is a way to get it in the county, even if they won't let you. And so here's what you do. Your documents that you're going to do, you want to get in the county. What you do is you write a little tiny public notice. It's got to go in a newspaper in the county, a public notice. You just do a real small one, and it can just say notice of bonded claim. And then what you do is you create a Google Drive link. Shorten it up, please. Don't put the whole long one. That's very long. But shorten it up with some URL shortener. Create a Google Drive link, post it in the newspaper, and then below say any party in interest, please mail all inquiries to, and then just put a P.O. box. That's all you need to put in the newspaper. Run that for the requested time, which a lot of places it's 3 weeks, some weeks it's 2, or some states it's 2, a lot of places it's 3. when you're done, the newspaper will give you an affidavit of publication. When you
Gotcha.
get the affidavit of publication, then what? Then guess what? You take that affidavit of publication, you put behind it all the documents that were that were on that Google Drive link. You take it in, and they cannot deny it, and no clerk will deny filing an affidavit of publication with all your documents behind it.
Gotcha.
So that's a way to do it. Also, if they try to bucket the documents behind it, say that's just what was in the newspaper.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can just do the affidavit of publication as well. You know,
Okay.
it's whatever, but that is a way of getting it into the counties, because we have clerks that just simply aren't doing their jobs.
Mm-hmm. And also, if you guys aren't aware, you guys can also visit mypublicnotice.info. It's an online public notice website, and you guys can do a lot of your filings there, especially for basic bookkeeping purposes. You guys have any questions on that? Just shoot me a message.
What did you say that was? mypublicnotice.info?
Yeah.
mypublicnotice.info. Okay.
You see. All right. So everybody's wondering, okay, if the whole objective is to remove ourselves from the straw man and to leave the straw man, let the straw man be where he's laying, dead in the sea. What do we operate with next? That's the next question. So what number are we using? You know, how do we get it? What about my job? What about, if I need, credit cards, lines of credit, if I need a house, dealing with anything that requires usually a social security number. What's the alternative?
Well, I think you are probably the pro the pro in that one. Now, as far as getting a job, when you get a 98 foreign grant or trust, and you get it just strictly in your name, exactly the name that you're going to work in, you can work on it. My daughter has had 5 jobs, no problem working on it. The first one she had, when they went to computer generate her payment, it popped up on the computer and it said, we cannot generate a check for this entity. It has to be a handwritten wet ink document because of their standing. And they didn't take a penny out of any of her wages. She got everything. They had to handwrite out the check because of her standing. So it is interesting. So you can work on that. I also spoke with a gentleman who owns his own 18-wheeler, his own semi, and he does over-the-road trucking. He uses the IDP and the ID, and he has the truck in a foreign grantor trust, with the state tags. And he's actually, running on the 98 and everything like that. He said as long as he owns the truck, it sounds like it works fine.
Yo, somebody need to mute their microphones. Levy, we hear you, bro. All right, so okay. So now, bank accounts. What do you think about that, Chris? So these are all the questions that these are all the things that people worry about when we talk about the aspect of being unplugged and not using these things that we've grown so accustomed to using, and that we grow accustomed to depending on, that we can't seem how to live without it. And I tell people all the time, don't ever unplug. Well, I wouldn't recommend it. I just so happen to be living a certain lifestyle anyway that my transition was a lot smoother. I was already pretty much disconnected from the corporate world, independently. Mm-hmm. So I never needed anything. But I tell people to prep themselves and wing themselves off of it, just like a crack pipe, like a better, you got to wing yourself off of it and leverage the straw man while you have them to do it private. Yo, Levy, you tripping, bro. Yeah, so that's the biggest thing. Also, another huge thing, because right now they're trying to make it that everybody needs to have a U.S. passport now. So that's the other scare tactic as far as traveling or flying rather. So we have traveling across the highways and the roads covered, with great success. So now,
Yeah, and that's something that, oh my goodness, that is very frustrating. I think all of us should pull together and join something like NetJets. Who knows what NetJets is? Have you seen that company?
no, what's
Where
that?
you pool together and you actually can buy a share in the company, and they'll come to even your little local airport and fly you wherever without you having to go through TSA.
Actually, that's what we need to do.
That's what we need to do.
That's what
We
we
need
need
to
to do.
come together and have our own American national
That's the
jet.
problem, because that's a huge problem, because and it's understandable if we're having complications, because we still contradicting things, because we're still using their stuff.
I know, and we don't want their corporate. I mean, it's ridiculous. Yeah, look up NetJets. I think it is. I think it's owned by Bill Gates, if I remember right. But he set it up so people, nations, whoever, could actually, you know, become part owners. And when you become part owner, then you can fly wherever, and you don't have to see. Again, TSA is the issue, because they allowed them to come in there. They're a foreign entity that just wants to take control of everything. So that would be a big, big thing if we actually got something like that. I think that's something we should just look into, because if we get enough of us together, we could easily do something like that. Have our own company.
Yeah, it's actually mandatory. Especially while they're trying to obligate people to have these particular documents, that's trying to tie everybody back into their jurisdiction.
Yeah, and Amtrak accepts all the American national credentials, no problem. You can go anywhere on Amtrak with them. They're good. They're really good with them.
Now, I spoke with David at the World Service Authority the other day, and he was saying like the combination and the marriage between the authenticated national ID, American national ID, with the passport, in conjunction with the resident sticker, in conjunction with the exit visa, actually produces a great marriage to travel.
Yeah, it does. However, there's one thing that we believe he should be doing, and we want to meet with him and discuss more with him. But if you notice, for example, Indiana will refuse to certify any document that has anything to do with World Service Authority. Have you seen that?
No.
It says it specifically on there. They will not do anything if it has anything to do with it, or if there's any connection. Now, all he would need to do is create a sub entity with a different name. What happened was that they didn't get things done properly before they let it all move forward. And so they could have easily slipped in there and got things authenticated before it got to be a big thing and the government set up and started like this. But they didn't. So now the name has a bad rap. Right. So really what he needs to do, and if you speak with him again, people need to keep suggesting to him, he needs to create a sub entity in the form of a ministry, a 508 or a private foundation that actually is a different name that they don't recognize. Then he can slide everything in and keep moving.
Absolutely. Another thing that I thought of too is just based on the whole traditional operation of things, on what we do just by standard procedure, is that I believe he needs to also add a process to the passports, as opposed to just being recorded within their systems. We need to have a process in addition, like once everybody receives their passports, with everything tied to the passport to help with authenticating the passport. We need to have a final process of sending acknowledgement to the Department of Homeland Security.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. And again, if he would simply change the name, okay, let's just say he starts issuing, instead of something called a World Service Passport, he creates something below that that's called an American National Passport. That's all he needs to do. and he needs to start doing that. I mean, if he would do that and he would move fast, the secret is to move fast. When you do that, he could get this thing moving pretty quickly, I think.
Definitely. Hold on. Definitely. I mean, at the end of the day, we had to find ways to, for one, strategically merge. You know what I'm saying? So, as multiple nations, we could become one nation to go against the Kraken. You know, so it's like because that's what it is. We all ultimately trying to protect ourselves, reserve our rights, and live securely. Amongst this United States corporation, but they're the big dogs, they're the sharks, and it's no way to technically destroy them, but there's ways around to getting around the board, you know, securely, and we could do it, you know, in peace and in honor, but we have to shake the right hands and tie the right knots together.
Exactly.
You know, these forms of separations are actually our own, you know, personal vulnerabilities within our own systems, you know, because we only can cover so much area independently by ourselves, you know, so we need more people to understand, we need more people to be aware in general, and we have to put things in effect, just like we said, like it's almost like it's actually a state of an emergency that we really figure out how to establish our own airports and stuff.
Exactly, and we can do that. I mean, that's not anything. I mean, the people is what gives something the power. So think for a minute. What if only, I mean, they claim that it only takes 100 people, if they can actually through meditation or whatever, get their mind wave on the exact same vibration for something to happen. Only 100 people is all it would take to change the entire world. However, the plan has been and is still to keep us separated so that we're not going to do that. Because there is power in numbers, tremendous power in numbers. And that's been what the thing is they don't want numbers to come together. So they're going to try to separate us by religion, by race, by color, by you name it. You name it.
Definitely. Absolutely. We got to get over all that stuff. Those are small issues because they're trying to fry us all.
Can I jump in before this two-part passport?
What's up?
So I was looking into that recently because I heard there was a way you could do it and claim yourself as an American national on the passport. And you know how you make your ID. You can use one of those authenticated IDs, and I think you use your 9-8 number instead of a social in your birth certificate. And don't put down where it says United States citizen. You put no. And check it off as no, because I was actually just looking into that the other day. But that might be another possible. Because from which could be the hype, is that, you know, they're like, oh, it's one of the most powerful passports to have the United States. But, and again, it's a United States passport. So I was kind of stuck on that one.
Okay, you got to remember one thing. You got to remember the basic procedures on how to even obtain a U.S. passport. What else do you need to get a passport? What documents do you need?
Oh yeah, proof of residency and all this other crap.
Now, what main document do you need to get that passport?
That's a birth certificate, right?
Your birth certificate. So that's where they get you at, because you didn't claim your nationality in initial contract. So you can't go into the to the additional contract that's attached to and think you're gonna correct something. Okay. So
I didn't realize I didn't realize birth certificate was a contract. I thought that was the one thing that wasn't a contract.
No, you better know that. You better know that's the kind that you signed.
Oh man,
with your pretty little baby.
Oh yeah, that's right. Your footprint.
Yeah. We talked about that last time.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Now I get it. Because I was just looking into that. So
no. What you're saying is it's still a logical way in, but I just want you to remember that fact. So that's not to say that that's not a possibility while we're figuring everything else out or perfecting another process within our own. What I'm saying is we have to figure out another way to come in with a new contract. So how do we produce a new contract with their so-called birth certificate? You know what I'm saying? So that's when we go in, do the name change to the point where they produce a new birth certificate, except with a new birth certificate, we don't apply for a new social security number. and then we go back in.
Right.
Now we can put our zeros because we put our nationality on the new birth certificate. I'm just saying.
Well, it's just simply
So right now,
when you get a state birth certificate, you're a slave. Whether, I mean, I know people that got that and they didn't get a social and they still treat them the same. It's no different. Here's another thing I want to throw in though. I was speaking with a lady in California she's from another country here, and she was saying that there's a way that you can just take paperwork, your declaration of standing or whatever it is, you can actually take paperwork and you notarize it, get it recorded, and then you will get it, certified and authenticated and everything. And she said, you can actually take that paperwork and go to an embassy. She said, you have to go to, here's the challenge. You have to get it stamped at a U.S. embassy. And the problem is the U.S. embassies here often won't do it. You almost have to get somebody outside the country to take your paperwork to a U.S. embassy so you can travel to the United States. That's the way to get back in. Getting out is no problem. You can take your paperwork to, let's say you're going to Belize. You can go to the local Belize embassy and you can get them to stamp your paperwork, visa stamp it to travel to Belize. However, it's coming back in that the United States is so nasty. So you have to find an embassy outside of the United States, a U.S. embassy that will stamp it for travel to here. Now, if I understood David from World Service Passport, it's not hard for people in other countries to use his passports. They just go to a U.S. embassy in their country and get it stamped, and they can come here. It's not a problem. He does it all the time.
Yeah.
well, that and the world citizen is that's one of the from the way I look at it, flag etiquette. If it's a blue passport, it's pretty much accepted everywhere. Just like the United States, it's a blue passport. It's all about colors. It really doesn't have to do with where it came from. And if they got that status with it being blue, it puts it up there in the top-notch passports. I'm pretty sure that's how it works.
Well, it's just that
flag etiquette.
It's just that the United States Department of State has flagged it. They have flagged the World Service Passport. That's why I believe he should just simply create a sub-entity calling it American National Passport or some other name.
Yeah, people have been abusing that passport.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, and on top of that, I believe it was used in general way too much without being perfected first.
Yes, I agree.
So, but I believe it's a way to fix it. But they have to understand the flaws within it, and know. I know some people get attached to names and stuff. I don't know if they're attached to the name, but forget the name. Like you say, make a new one.
Yeah.
We have to fix the problem because at some point,
if they slam one door on us, we just need to go and open another door. That's just all there is to it. We are not going to give up. We are not going to stop because we are the people. So
they got us cornered because they've established all of the major corporations that we need to use to get from one place to the next. That's really the only thing. So they have decades and centuries ahead of us as far as establishing these corporations. That's what I tell some people.
Do you know what? Do you know how many times more powerful is good than evil?
Yeah.
You can't even compare it. I mean, I always give people the analogy is, okay, we're going to go into this dark warehouse that has no windows. We're going to walk in there and it's pitch dark. Okay. You can actually test, science has actually tested the darkness, and the darkness is nothing. There is no substance to darkness. It's actually lack of anything. But you go into the warehouse and you flip on the light switch. Well, what happened? Where did the darkness go? The word evil in the original Hebrew language means nothing. That's the meaning of the word evil, nothing. Now think about it a minute. All you have to do is go and turn on the light. And where is the dark going to go? Now science can take light and they can test it, and it's substance. It's real substance. But darkness has no substance. There's nothing. It's emptiness. It's void of anything.
That's right. Darkness is just the absence of light.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So we got to keep that in mind too, and not think we shouldn't. It's just like when you're a small child and you're scared of the dark. You go, oh, you're so scared of the dark because you think there's something there that's going to get you, but darkness is nothing. And when you turn on the light, then you're not scared anymore, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So we can't let the big scary darks stop us ever.
I don't know if it's a coincidence, but evil backwards is live. You know how the media loves to go live.
Yes, I do. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys, so anybody have any questions about becoming an American national? Any questions, comments, concerns, certain issues you might have personally?
I see one question. I see one question that somebody said, don't you have to denounce your U.S. citizenship in order to become an American national?
Okay.
We are born American nationals. We just have been hoodwinked and kidnapped. You can do the perfected
Can y'all
title
hear me?
package.
Hold on 1 second, bro.
Okay.
When you do the perfected title package, all you do is simply turn the reversionary interest back to the United States Inc. I mean, no, you don't renounce U.S. citizen. Don't do any such thing like that. No. Because you never were a U.S. citizen. Never. That was a corporation that they created, and they're going to keep on using their corporation, but we're not going to play in their sandbox anymore. They can have all their dirty little deeds in their sandbox. We have our own now, and we're clean. We are not going to work in that anymore. So, no, you can do the perfected title package, which disconnects you from the liability of their deeds, but we're not denouncing anything. We are born American nationals.
Somebody says, what order of services from A to Z? Now, that was funny because we were just talking about a list of services. There were over 20 different services provided for American nationals in the private sector. But it's a general standard starting point, but it's sometimes it's based on a person's individual situation and circumstance that you might be in. But typically you starting off, getting an American national ID. Then you start from there. Then you might want to get the perfected title, and then from the perfected title, you may be worried about traveling, so you get your IDP. Then you might want to go through and get your vehicle in the trust. Then you might want to go ahead full-fledged and get the American national license plates. Or you might want to skip that and go get your treasury bond. You might need to put bondy claims on a situation. I don't know, but it's a standard step by step, but there's so many different services outside of your first individual. Like after you get that idea, it's based on your individual circumstance.
Now, I have a question. When you get to become an American national, like for instance, I got my ID, I have my IDP, I actually have my passport, but I sent it back to get the exit visa and the residential the permit. As far as traveling, my vehicle, I do not technically own my vehicle. I'm still financing. Did you still use the ID, the IDP, and your passport for traveling purposes in a vehicle that you're still financing?
Well, there have been a couple people that have done that. What they did is they opened up the simple trust under the 98 trust. They opened up a simple trust, but they had to open it in the exact name that you have your loan in. Okay. Then what they did is they took the paperwork, all the trust paperwork that you get when you get, that's very important. That trust paperwork, they got it notarized. They took it into the bank, and they just said they needed to update the loan information. And the bank did that. The bank would do that for them. It was kind of a process, but they got it done. Then that car is still in a trust. You just have to be really careful what you say. You don't ever say foreign. Don't ever say foreign. But again, they just update the paperwork so that the loan actually goes to the trust now instead, and then it's safe. That's how people have done it.
Okay, so basically I would have to send my stuff to Capital One because I don't have a local bank here. I just have to send that stuff off to Texas then.
Yeah, you would just have to, ask them to update your loan documents.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, so you're trying to slide that straw man's name out of there and slide the foreign name.
Yes, yeah, yeah. Actually, I helped somebody do that on it was a dump trailer for their business. It was the same thing and it worked just fine. And then what the bank did is they actually updated their documents and they gave them something and I believe they had to take it into the DMV, something that the bank gave them and they took it into the DMV and they updated it on that end as well.
I have a question.
Okay.
Back to the silver 1933 pre 1933. And you guys say only Morgan silver, no other silver.
No, Morgans are the best. It can be any pre-1933 silver dollars, which basically I think the only ones are Morgan or Peace.
Yeah.
I think they said that Morgans are a little bit higher silver concentration than the Peace dollars. You can look into that. I've been told that.
Yeah.
That they're a little higher, but no, it's fine. Just be sure you get something before 1933 in their treasury silver dollars.
Because remember, the whole significance behind 1933 is before the gold standard, the whole redemption movement, when we were operating and using real money out here in commerce. So we got to go back to the original currency. Now, another thing we need to watch out for, and this is my personal opinion, but I personally believe that a lot of the silver that they're mass promoting on the market right now, those silver bullion coins, are a bunch of BS because they can never gain any type of historical value because they don't have a damn date on it.
Right.
Like I don't understand how do you it may be silver, and they're promoting the silver round and all this other stuff, but it doesn't have a date on it. This is not something you can pass on to your kids, or no, it can never. That's my opinion. I don't know. I think that was purposely done and intentionally done. You know what I'm saying? Like, so they're trying to capitalize off they sell as if like, buy real currency or obtain the tangible gold and silver and this and that and build true wealth. But it'll always be worth the same. Actually, it may even, the value of those coins are only going to go up in value based on the market that it's on. And we're not dealing with the silver based on that market. We're dealing with the silver based on the treasuries market. You see what I mean? So that's the scam that I just smell. I smell a bunch of BS with that. They making a situation, because remember, throughout the past few decades, they've been, not past few. Remember, history repeats itself. So 1933, they confiscated the gold from the American people. Now history is repeating itself, so they're not confiscating it. We free willingly sold the gold back to these people, and now they're selling. We sold them the real gold, and now they're selling us back this knockoff stuff that has no date on it. It looks pretty, but it's nothing. You know what I'm saying? At all. I feel like
I've been speaking with some coin dealers and actually found out the whole thing on that is that the coins in 1933 or before whatever were pure silver, and everything that started getting made after that wasn't pure. So that was part of that whole implication of what's up.
You're right. If you look at, like, if you take both of them and put them side by side, you can see the difference. You can see, like, but
right.
I did a test. I did a survey. I walk up to somebody. I'm like, which one would you choose? You know what I'm saying? They typically choose this one because it looks nicer, it's prettier.
Right. Instead of a patina.
Pretty little Indian on there. It says silver bullion round. It's point. Everybody sold on the 0.9995 silver. Why do you have to emphasize on the silver? Like, we know it's supposed to be silver, right? Why you gotta tell us? But where's the date at? One Troy ounce.
Well, but it's also 1 point that's not silver. You see, it's still tainted by some bit, and everything before that, back in the 20s and whatnot, was actual pure silver. There was no impurities to it, which makes it more valuable. Even the stuff they make today, they can't get it pure. Absolutely. And that's what it is. They're trying to sell the knockoff. That's it. You're getting something that's probably got something else in the middle of it. You'll never know just who's going to melt down the coin to find out, or the bullion,
Yeah, this might be silver plated.
Got clad on the inside.
Guys, I have a
That's what, like I got a silverware set. It's the same thing. It's just plated in silver. There's nothing actual silver about it.
Hold on,
That's,
somebody got
that's what the, and that's what the coin dealers put me up on.
hold on, somebody got a question. You ain't never lied though.
Yeah, I have a question.
Okay.
This is Stacy. There's a number of questions in the group chat, by the way, that people
Okay.
are asking that I'm sure you guys will probably get to.
Okay.
I appreciate everything you guys are saying. I actually have gone and got authenticated with the birth certificate on the UCC. My thought process now is I'm listening to what you guys are saying, and this all sounds really foreign to me. Is there a process or checklist that you have that we can go step by step to actually knock these things out of the park and just get them done?
Yeah, definitely. Well, right now we're having an issue with well, actually, yeah. Right now we have an issue with we're securing things for the future. So just like when you go to high school, you know, in order to graduate, you have certain things certain courses you have to go through in order to be educated to operate in the world, right? So you got SATs, you got the Constitution, which they taught us too early in life, which is why we don't understand a lot of stuff that's going on right now. But we ain't gonna talk about that. So that is why we have to. It's a American National prep course that we designed for people to go through to have a generalized study and understanding, and to put you in a certain mind frame in becoming an American National per se. And so right after the test is done, the next phase of that is, of course, is obtaining a national ID card. And from the national ID card, and within the test, you'll see a list of all the services. And then at the end of the test, you can check off all the services that you think you might be initially interested in. And then after you get your, have your one-on-one consultation with one of the members, they'll better direct you on what direction you need to go in based on your particular circumstance and situation. But the first stage is that, and then you get your ID card, and I recommend the IDP and the perfected title. We're always going to recommend those few things: the perfected title, the ID, the IDP, and just for starters. And then from that, it depends on what's pretty much going on in your personal situation.
All right. So from there, I heard about the bonded trust with the coins, right? The silver coins, right? How do you actually do that? Two, I'm gonna wait till they stop talking.
We got somebody's need to mute. All right. So what'd you say?
So the next question outside of that bonded trust, that sounds extremely interesting. To back that up, have something like everything you're doing. When it comes to taxes, I heard you even talk about bank accounts, 98, I guess foreign accounts and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. How does that process work? One, and two, if you have tax situations where you are trying to, not pay off but discharge your taxes under being a national, I guess, citizen, or actually authenticating your birth certificate and being on the UCC and claiming that. How does that work? Because what it sounds like, it doesn't sound like if you've done that, that's the right process, or you haven't done enough in order to actually discharge that information.
Well, you pretty much said it. That process has been halfway done as far as how the public is doing it, as far as the authentication of the birth certificate. I'll let Chris finish up talking about what you're talking about as far as the tax issues and stuff like that and how to deal with that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, again, taxes are voluntary strictly. Nobody's required to pay a tax unless they are a government employee. When they linked you to the birth certificate, they actually listed you as a government employee because they were making you the liable party to their government corporation. See, the U.S. Inc. was, let's say it like this, it was like the top mother trust or mother corporation. It opened up 50 babies, which are state of this and state of that and state of the other thing. Okay, each of those states now, every time a child is born, they steal the name and open up another one, so they have hundreds of thousands. Okay, this is how we're layered.
Mm-hmm.
So that these are all government entities. The straw man that they created is a government entity. So they're trying to make you liable for that government entity. That's the only way. An American national is never taxable. There's actually a tax return form. It's called the 1040 NR. 1040 NR. This is for, okay, the standing of an American national is actually non-resident alien. That
Right.
is actually what you are.
Right.
There is a tax form, a 1040 NR, that is for non-resident aliens.
So when you
Now I can't recommend, I don't know how, I can't tell you how to use that form. I just know it's there. I myself won't file anything because I'm not required to. I'm private. I don't need to file with them. I'm not going to go to them. I do personally know two people who, as non-resident aliens, use their 98 EIN trust number on that form. They saved all their receipts from the year, and they would scan, they would make copies. They would scan them onto 8.5 by 11 pages, and they would report them on that form, and they would report no income, because income is only something that you as a citizen can get. When you take your everything in living, what am I going to say, lawful money per 12 USC 411, lawful money is not taxable ever. It's not income. You don't ever want to use the word income. Everything is private exchange in lawful money. Everything.
Okay, so before you go a little bit further than that makes perfect sense. Now, how do you remedy that if you're working as a regular W-4, W-2 worker?
Well, that's the problem. That is the problem. We have not found anything right now at this time. When you start a new job, you can come in with your 98 EIN and work on that, and you give them a W-8 instead of a W-4. And you receive all that when we do a trust for you. You receive all the instructions on how to open a 98 bank trust account, and that works fine. And I know people that have been being garnished by the IRS, their wages. They go open up at another bank, go open up a 98 trust account, shut down the one that they were garnishing, and start paying into that, and they cannot garnish a 98 trust account. No, they cannot garnish it. So even child support, they can't garnish a 98 trust account. That's what your goal is.
So if I open up a 98 trust account and move anything that I'm getting, any type of money coming to me, and move that into that trust account, that means no one can touch it.
That's what I have been told by multiple people. I haven't done it myself. I've never been garnished because I haven't been feeding in. Also, anytime you get a check or anything, you always want to sign the back of it. You want to sign redeemed in lawful money. Let me just type it in the chat what you want it to say. And I actually ordered me a rubber stamp online to stamp any checks. Okay, so it's going to be redeemed in lawful money is going to be the first line.
Mm-hmm.
The second line is pursuant to 12 USC 411. The next line is by, and then you sign your autograph. So, and then the third line is DBA, and you're going to have your trust name, your 98 trust name, like this. So if you can see on the chat, oh, I misspelled redeemed. Redeemed in lawful money pursuant to 12 USC 411 by, and that's where you sign your autograph. Mm-hmm. And it's good to sign your autograph, and you can sign, all lowercase, last name first, comma, and then first name. That's because your family, the house was there before you were. Your family name was there long before you. And every family name has a crest. And when you order a bond, we actually research as much to the best of our ability and find the original family name, because that crest family name brings you back to the land. But you sign this way, and then your DBA, you're going to write your trust name as John Doe Trust, whatever. That's how you're going to do that.
Now you just see the question of it, and that's right. Most people are doing direct deposits. How do you?
Yes. Yes, that's okay. Direct deposit is okay if you have the 98. Now, some people on their signature card, when they go and open up the account, on the signature card, they'll sign their name and right by it, they'll write 12 USC 411.
What was that? 12 USC?
Yes, 411. If you look over there in the chat, you can see it. It's over there, 12 USC 411.
On the signature card.
Yeah.
Hey, Chris, I think people are having an issue when they're asking about the direct deposit. They're trying to ask, is there a way that they cannot get the garnishment taken out before
before it hits the bank?
That's what they're doing. But I had something to say about that. Employed.
Hold on. Okay.
If you're already employed, that's going to be a little difficult because I stated that I work for the post office. And to be a postal worker, you have to be a 14th Amendment U.S. citizen. So it's stuff that you can't go in and fill out paperwork and say, well, I'm going to do a W-4 termination and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that, because it's going to flag them. Because for me to stay employed until I'm ready to get all the way out, I cannot let them know my nationality or my foreign status, because I have to be a 14th Amendment citizen. So you just can't fill out paperwork and just say, here, I'm going to get this to HR. You really need to research and see what you're doing before you want to just not pay taxes or whatnot, because that can actually trap you when you do that. So I can't go in and change anything. I'm just going to have to just let them keep doing what they're doing until I'm able to pull away from that, because I can't even tell them that I am an American national, because I have to stay a 14th Amendment citizen to stay employed with them.
Yeah, you're a government employee. Yeah, and government employee, actually the law says that only government employees are liable to pay taxes. The rest of us are all volunteers.
Right. So I can't do that. I would have to pay taxes, and I can't let them know my foreign status.
Exactly. But see, you can, the beauty of that is that you can go to work and you can operate in the public over there. But when you go home, now you're private. Now you're not a government employee. You're traveling. You can travel privately in your car. You're not,
Right.
Yeah.
So when they talk about taxes, then whoever's going to be talking about taxes, how do you remedy working for someone now? Not in that situation where you're a government employee, but you're a private person just working for a normal corporation, and now you want to file taxes, or you want to not file taxes. What forms do you use for the years that you're working with these companies?
That's a good question,
So
because you already contracted. But if somebody else has, go ahead. If somebody else has ideas, go ahead. That's once you've contracted and you've given them your social, it's very difficult. It's almost, I don't know.
They have a W-4 termination form, but that may not be a good idea. They actually have that form though.
What's it called? The W-1?
It's called a W-4T, W-4 termination.
Well, all right, so I've been looking into this, and there might be another way of going about it, is talking to your tax accountant and correcting them. Because there's actually something called a category of what these fall under. And when you actually look up what a category 5 is, it's either gift or estate, I'm not sure. But when it falls under that, when you're having your taxes done, you tell them, they're basically putting it in the improper category, because that's how they're trained to do it. So you might be able to get around it by saying, hey, I'm not, that class, and you can look up the federal publications, and it says what category your your W2s, your W4s, your 1090s, all those fall under category 5. And from what I understand, category 5 is gift to the estate or gift, or however that works out, and you might be able to get around it that way.
Yeah, and ask them, if you're looking into that, look up the 1040 NR, because that might be, you might just start filing 1040 NR. I don't know. Again, everybody on here, check it out. Look into whatever options, because that 1040 NR is a very, very fascinating, because you can use a 98 EIN on there, and you're
can you go back years on that though? So can you go back?
Yes, because it's been fraud from the get, and from what I understand too, even the tax accountants, you bring that to their attention. Anybody that's done your taxes, you say, hey, all this is supposed to be, you read the federal publications for yourself. You can see what category it falls under. You bring it into whoever did your taxes last and say, hey, this is a category 5. This does not fall under income. This is, either gift or estate. And I mean, like I said, I'm not sure exactly what it says, but if you check it up, There's some pretty good info there, and you can go back because it's fraud. And anything that's fraud, the statute on that, I'm pretty sure goes back to whenever the fraud started.
Yeah, you're right.
So if it's fraud, it's fraud. I mean, they're doing their jobs improperly, regardless. For we know not what we do, but they're still got to be held liable for it. They're the ones you paid them to do the service. So in contract law and commerce, they've been paid to do a service improperly, and it's fraudulent.
Definitely. But we contracted back into it though. Somebody had a question about let me see. What's the difference? I think this says, what's the difference? Oh, yeah, regarding getting a Moorish national name in conjunction, I guess, with becoming an American national. I guess they're trying to ask, they said, what is the difference between this and getting your Moorish national name? Well, the difference is your personal decision, you know. That's and one thing about that, especially dealing with if you're a Moor, unlike other, so-called nations, or they limit or restrict you from exercising your right to be a part of that other nation as well. You know what I'm saying? Or claiming that nationality. But that has nothing to do with this process. It doesn't conflict. If it does anything, we'll complement that.
Yeah, and one thing people need to for, there's a lot of people that go and get a Moorish name, and then the problem that arises is that now they have two entities they're liable for, not just one, and that's a big issue. So they're taxable. They're being taxed on more than one entity because they went and got a social security number on it and everything.
They just created two straw mans. Two straw mans.
You created two straw mans.
All right, so I have another.
They don't comprehend the differences between the nationality and doing a secured party.
Right.
Just like all of us, the nationality is just being politically correct. It's not Moorish, it's not this or that. Pretty much, if you're doing this, you're an American national. And if you're not, then you're not. And that's as simple as that. There's no color, race, shape, religion.
Exactly.
And that's where people get,
that's the problem.
They get put off, and they don't comprehend what's going on here. You got to be on that level of, we're all doing this together as a means of freedom for humanity and spirituality. This has nothing to do with, I got to go and get a Moorish name. Now, if you want a good education lesson, I watch Moorish all the time. That's where I learned half of this stuff. When you're dealing with Moorish, they're teaching you about concierge courts and how things work in the court. That's where I've gained a lot of the info from. And it's just because they were one of the first original back in Africa a long time ago that educated everybody when this all started. Yeah. I mean, this goes thousands of years back in history.
Hey guys, I have one more question here. Well, now, if, for instance, I did something where I did a bill of exchange, I followed certain instructions, and I sent something into the IRS. I haven't received anything back. Is that a problem, or do you find that those things have worked in the past?
You were kind of breaking up. I didn't hear you sent what into the IRS?
So I sent in a bill of exchange to the IRS, New York State Tax Department, to pay a bill or discharge a debt. And I sent it the proper way with the 3811, had it certified, and had it recorded on my UCC. Was that improper, or is that something that will come back returned to me?
Generally, what's going to happen is you'll probably get a frivolous filing letter with a bunch of penalties and all kinds of bills. Is probably what's going to happen.
Did you send instructions?
I did send instruction, yes.
To both parties?
To both parties, yes. So how does that work? Because it was the first time I've ever done it, but I think I followed the right instructions to both parties.
Can I say something about that? I did a bill of exchange as well back in October, November last year. They kept the instrument, which means that they didn't do the I can't think of the administrative process, but they kept my bill of exchange. And then about 2 weeks ago, they finally answered me and called it a frivolous filing. However, on the frivolous filing, when you get the document back from them, on the first page, it was funny because it didn't have I still get the bill from the actual IRS. But when the fraud department, so-called fraud department from them, they sent me a letter back and said that, you know, about the frivolous information and all that. They had all the laws and everything, but the first page was real funny because at the bottom where they had the presentment, where you usually write your money order, whatever, it didn't have a amount on it at all. And then at the top, above the top, it said, if you want to pay this bill, we won't, basically saying we won't stop you if you want to pay this bill. But it didn't really give me a bill saying that I owe it still. So I'm kind of still waiting, even though I still got to do my taxes and everything. I just think they're going to just take my taxes, to be honest.
Yeah.
So don't expect to get it, that bill of exchange, to, again, I'm not real versed in it yet, and maybe that was the issue. I know a buyer, she could, she pretty,
Yeah,
she's pretty hawkish.
they'll give you a frivolous letter. I haven't gotten one yet because I did it too. But if you do get one, normally they'll give you a way out of it. And I'll post the code in the chat. It's 26 USC 6657 on bad checks. What you do is you check that particular code, and the remedy is there. All you have to say is that you tendered that instrument in good faith that it was going to be paid. That'll wipe out whatever claim they have against you. You say that, they'll leave you alone.
Who are you guys sending the BOA to?
You can send it to the IRS, because if you have like something with the IRS in their internal revenue codes actually accept bill of exchange. They actually send them to the Department of Revenue in Washington D.C. They have that.
Send it to Munchin. What's his name? Munchin.
Well, they're going to do it. See that they're going to send it because you're trying to settle the debt with them. They actually will accept it. They tell their employees, if you receive a bill of exchange, just to fill out some paperwork and send it to Washington D.C. But the issue is trying to figure out.
I would think they're the middleman. From my understanding,
they actually like a tax collector for the Department of Revenue.
But my understanding is you have a bond with Munchin. So why wouldn't you send the instructions to him directly on what to do?
Well, you got to think about it. I send numerous stuff to Steve Mnuchin through registered mail, and it takes months for you to get a return receipt back. So if you send it to them and make to discharge the debt with the IRS, it may be quicker to go through the IRS to them than they send it. Because they may have, it's a particular room at the Department of Treasury that actually deal with stuff for the IRS.
I have a question.
You know what though? I actually did that. I sent it to the IRS and also to Steve Munchin as well. I haven't got the 3811 back from Steve.
Yeah, it takes 2 or 3 months to get anything back from them. So.
Right, but I got the 3811 back from the IRS that they received it.
But see, you're just sending him a copy of everything that you're sending the original to the CEO.
Yes.
Okay.
That's exactly right. Now, I've been calling the IRS to see if they've received it, but I keep on getting a voicemail. I never can get a live person anymore at this point. And then I got a bill actually stating a little bit more interest on the first bill that they sent me. So I'm just curious. That's all. I just asked the question because I want to know if anybody was successful with this. And
I'm getting ready to try it, so I'll keep you guys informed.
Well,
but I'm sending mine straight to him.
I do have a question though. What are you writing the international bills of exchange off of? What are you backing them with?
With the bond that I sent in with my packet, my initial packet. I put my UCC number on there. Yeah. I put instructions.
What's backing the bond?
Everybody was trying to do the bond, the birth certificate bond.
Right.
No. Don't do that. Don't do that. What you can do though, once you get your silver bond, you can try to write IBOEs off of that because the silver bond is real and the silver bond is actually going to be in the Treasury in your name.
Okay. So that's what I was thinking too, just straight to him.
Right. Please don't do that because you don't have the right to do that off of their birth certificate. I
didn't do it off of the birth certificate.
to do that.
Okay, so the key here is to get the silver bonnet of, I guess the silver.
Well, let's go back to this. You know, that judge told the brother that was with him when he asked him that question, and he said, if I had a piece of pre-1933 silver coin, shouldn't I be able to buy anything? And that judge told him he is on the right track, but he couldn't tell him anymore.
So all you need
So
is
we
one
have
coin?
to stop messing with all those things that we've been doing. Well, to be considered a freeholder, you're supposed to have 21.
Okay.
But that was just the judge's answer, which tells you something big here. It is very important.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, what's the process of going through the certification and the prep course? Can you just explain that a little bit more? Like what you go over in the prep course, how that's going to set us up, and then how that'll prepare us to actually move forward with something else that we might want to do. Go ahead and get out. Thanks.
Yeah. So the whole purpose of the prep course is like I gave the whole example earlier about when we go to school. When you go to school, what happens? What do you have to do in order to graduate and go to the next phase? You know, we have to start organizing and reorganizing and perfecting certain processes to secure what we do. You know what I'm saying? A lot of things, when you have certain things that are easily accessible without any type of screening process, what do you think is going to happen? So without going into details, things have been happening, and we need to put a stop to it. So that's why things are put in place like this. And on top of that, how do you expect us to just start issuing out people American national standing and identification, and they running around without any type of knowledge and information or education to back up what they're doing and what they're holding? That's the whole purpose of it. You know, I mean, longest, simplest story put. I mean, it's basically common sense, honestly. You know, it's like things need to be narrowed down, and we got to tighten up security. You know, period. And we can't go up on the assumption that you know what you're doing and what you're getting into. So, and then on top of that, it gives us the better understanding of exactly where you are. You know, to better guide you through the next phase. You know, so just like we go to school, you know, we go to college and we pay that $40,000 a year for nothing, and we do all these other things that we pay for throughout the course of our lives. This is the front door process and beginning the process, and it's going to make things a lot simpler for you, for us, and everybody else down the line.
So it's like an American National prep course. I mean, American National life coaching to understand what we need to have beforehand, what it entails, and then how living in that life moving forward is all about.
Yeah, because we have to give people the opportunity to really see if this is something for them. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's a test to really test to see what your mind frame is, or to make sure your mind frame is adjusted to see things and to receive information a certain way, so you can know how to operate out here. So you just don't get your IDs in the mail and you don't know what to do with it, and you don't know how to move forward. You know, because some people have no clue about any of this stuff. You know what I'm saying? You guys are just so happen to, for the majority part, have somewhat of an understanding of the matrix that we're living in. You know, the whole corrupt corporate societies. You know, but the average person doesn't have any clue. But the average person is going to see Facebook and YouTube videos because of the TDA stuff that was going on, and now everybody's looking for different alternative answers, and the only thing they're gonna be looking for is like, man, let me get that ID. Where I get that ID from? They're not thinking about what that holding that ID entails. So that's the purpose of education. Like we need to understand the importance of education. We can't keep skipping school. Everybody wants to skip school, but live the lime life, you know, and that's something we got to put our foots down. You know what I'm saying? And to be honest with you, things are extremely affordable considering the value. You see what I mean? Like,
Absolutely, I agree. I think that you're right. We need clarity because I started out in this whole thing a couple of years ago, and I was learning about the whole TDA thing, and it didn't really make a lot of sense to me. So I was chasing that dragon for a little bit, and so I went through another route and started studying with a private group and got my UCC one filed and secure party and all that stuff. So I got all that stuff done. I've been studying and researching ever since, and I just joined the Hellraiser Legacy group. So I just joined your group. I've been following you, and what I want to do is I want to set up a private consultation, one-on-one, paid and part of the group with you to go over specifically all the stuff that I've done, what I'm trying to accomplish now, because I just filled out 5 forms for the American National International Driving, the Silver Bond, all that stuff. I've been going back and forth for 2 weeks with these guys. So now instead of sending everything in, if I could have a consultation with you, you know, paid or part of the course or whatever, I want to get up to speed on what I've done, where I'm trying to be, what I'm doing with American National right now. And then from there, I think it's really just closing the deal, you know. But I know what you mean with the prep course. I want to do the prep course, but I also want to have a one-on-one with you as part of my membership to find out based on where I'm at now, if I even need the prep course, because then I can invest that in more resources that you're offering and what AMPC's are. Does that make sense?
70%. You lost me at the end because you need to understand. Let's say this. Let's say if we so happen to know some of you, like personally, to know exactly where you guys are at. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's not necessarily the course itself. Many people will need the course and the information inside the course. Some of you might already know the majority. You see what I mean? The point is validating the individual coming through the door. So you know what I'm saying? So it's like if you go to the club or you go to a lounge or somewhere, you got to produce some type of ID to get in, right? You got that's why I keep saying security. So it's not about, it's going to get to the point where you can't skip that part at all. You know what I'm saying? Because of security mainly. So we talking about security and education. Two big things you can't skip. You know what I'm saying? Even if you have the education for security measures, this will validate you. You know what I'm saying? It's just like the most common sense analogies is like when you go into high school, you get a diploma that validates that you are educated within these generalized studies. When you go to college for whatever degree, I don't know, nobody go to college for 4 years, graduate, and don't want that document. I don't know nobody that paid $40,000 and graduated and walks away without that validation. It's all about that piece of paper. So at some point, we have to start operating at that capacity if we want to be respected on that capacity. At what point we gonna understand we have to damn near learn from the oppressor. We have to start tightening down and putting together organized structure, period. You know, ain't no just letting everybody in. Come on, y'all, let's go. We all good. No, because things are gonna get destroyed that way. You know?
No, I agree. No, I totally agree with what you're saying. All I was saying was, what I'm trying to get to is, if you've got a bunch of us coming in on this program, and I think the program is great, and we need that. If we're all at different levels with the program, is this program supposed to get us all on the same page so that we can move forward together, or are we still going to be in a bunch of different places moving forward?
This is what you would call the generalized education, your general studies, and what just putting you in the proper state of mind and knowing what door that you're going into. Your individual circumstance situation is going to differ than the next person. So that's why, you know, after you talk one-on-one with one of the staff and they get to understanding your personal situation, and then based on like within the prep course itself is going to be a section in there that you can explain your particular circumstance if it is outside the ordinary, if you have an emergency situation, because people are going to be, everybody that comes through the door are not going to be created equal as far as legally or personal circumstances concerned. So it's not really one of them things where it's like, I don't know, bro. I think you
It's on
overthinking
an
it.
individual basis.
I-
What Hellraiser is saying is like it's going to be based on your individual need. Everybody may not want to come in and get like an ID right off the bat. Some people may want to just do the perfected title and go straight to the bonds to get them out of trouble.
Right. No, I know it's going to be, everybody's going to be different. That's why I was asking if.
Or are you talking
Of
about
course.
are you talking about as far as after that's concerned and you got started and then going into continuing your education as far as being and operating as an American national? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So what I'm asking is the American National program that you're talking about is going to help us understand everything it's about, so that once we get the basics of what it's all about and how to operate that way, then we can start customizing our personal needs based on the options available with this organization, so that we can each go the route that we personally, based on our personal situation, want to go.
Right.
This gives us the foundation.
The foundation to give you the concept of what you're doing. Because
Got it.
what we're doing right now, this right here is what you call the continuing education and information. What we're doing right now, this union that we have right now is this is not a one-time thing. It can't be, because we're building. We're building and perfecting. These are the platforms that will be available at least once a month to continue to allow people to have a voice, to share their experiences, to share their concerns, to get updates on new information. This is what this is all about. It all comes with the package. You see what I mean? This is what it's all about. It's continuous. It's not one book that somebody can give you that's going to give you all the answers to this. This is a continuous thing. This is like a community, but more so we need to operate as a nation and start thinking as a nation.
Right.
Are there other donations that will be needed after the prep course?
No, you're going straight into the to the first phase, into whatever direction you need to go in. Like the services will be listed on the course, but I mean, like I say, we having conferences and stuff like that. The small donations, if there is any. I know a lot of people didn't give a donation beyond it. It wasn't about that, It's about building or whatever. We had almost 200 RSVPs. Now, whether they all show up or not, we had 200 RSVPs. So we're constantly growing. By the month. And the larger we build, the powerful we gonna get. We're not getting no sleep over here. We're working day and night trying to perfect the processes, figure out new processes. Other people are stepping up and playing important roles and positions. And that's what it's all about. It's all about getting yourself in order individually and figuring out how can you be of value to the movement, and to the whole concept. That's what it's all about. Nobody's limiting anybody. The whole thing is to try to figure out exactly what you need and what you're trying to do. If you're dealing with people that are not trying to figure out what's going on in your life, those are the people that's just trying to sell you. That is going to send you an email with a zipped up folder like, here you go. Then what?
When is the next prep course? I see you had the promotion ends in May.
Wait, nah, it doesn't end in May. That's what I said.
Hello.
You said the promotion ends May 22nd.
Oh, no, that was wrong. Nah, the promotion ends in 17.
No, I'm still having a little phone problem here.
Nah,
was you able to get in?
It ends, I'm sorry, March 22nd, so it's 7th promotion. It's mainly for everybody that's on the panel, basically.
And when is the course?
The course special. We'll have it every, I'll probably do that once a month or something.
Oh, okay. For this particular.
Yeah, it's mainly for the group.
I got you. Okay.
Yeah, so
once you sign up, you'll give us dates and things like that.
No. Okay.
That's what I'm saying. How does this work?
Look, the everything is systematic. Y'all gonna notice that about me. Everything is gonna when you go through the course, everything. As soon as you make your donation to the course is gonna start.
Okay.
Whether you want to start it today or next week, this course is gonna start. You're gonna You're gonna take the test. It's gonna be graded right then and there. You're
Oh,
gonna
okay.
get a tangible certificate in the mail. And you're gonna get a digital certificate in through the email that you're gonna send over to the ANPC department as validation and confirmation of your certification. And then and that's that. We're gonna get then you'll get with the certificate is gonna come the your international ID application. So all
Okay.
that's gonna come with the certificate that you get in the mail.
Cool.
You know, like we're not playing. We're not playing any games. We're getting on. We stepping things up a notch. We tightening things up. You know, trust me, we would love for everything on the planet to be free of fiat. You know what I'm saying? But we have to. It's an exchange of energy. You see what I mean? So we have to establish these things. You know, you know what? I find myself explaining why we have to do certain things, especially when it has a donation amount. When it comes to things like this that secure our independent lives, but we don't question when we go to the DMV. Buying their license plates. We don't question when we're buying their IDs. We don't question when we're buying ourselves deeper and deeper into their slavery. You know, we don't question that. You know, so it's like we got to get out that mind frame and understand. At the end of the day, it's all about knowing who you're dealing with. You know, knowing who you're dealing with, and understanding the authenticity of the people that you're dealing with, and the nation that you're dealing with. I haven't seen any other nation or group that is up to speed as this independent group right here. I haven't seen one. You know what I'm saying? I know a lot of people on here that spent a lot of money and with a lot of different individuals. Another thing about dealing with individuals is that you might have people out here that have authentic paperwork, but even then, if you end up putting yourself in a decent status or position, you know, where you're getting some results, that still leaves you vulnerable out here as far as in the world is concerned, because you will be one of the ones that they will make a personal example out of, because you're just one person out here doing things and doing things against the slave master, and you don't have a nation backing you up. You don't have people backing you up. You just out here naked.
So Hellraiser, so you're saying as far as a nation, is there some kind of for lack of a better term, legal protection or services that comes along with this? And I wouldn't call it legal, but
right, okay.
You understand what I'm saying, right?
Right.
This the backing behind it. And also, how does that work with if you're already part of the Hellraiser Legacy website, like you're already donating, and you want to go and do this course? Is that taken into consideration, or is that just separate? This particular part?
I mean, well, that's the reason it's $100 off. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. No, I'm asking. Hey, listen, I'm asking. I'm just trying to have better understanding.
Now I'm gonna need y'all to start putting two and two together, man.
You can. You know, I'm from a place where I ask a lot of questions. So
it ain't no such thing as no stupid question, though. I appreciate it.
We appreciate that discount.
Yeah, I mean,
absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
Hey, may I ask a question?
Mm-hmm.
This is Jennifer. Hi.
Hey.
I have a question for. Hold on, let me get the screen back up. ANPC in regards to my working status. They do not have my social security number. What I did was I gave them the EIN number. Now I am set up with a 98 number and also a private banker's number. Would it be okay if I turned around and revoked that estate EIN and gave them the 98 number?
Okay, so what did you give them when you started working?
The estate EIN number.
Estate EIN. So it was attached to your social.
Yeah.
Well, again, you can try. We've had several people that have tried to no avail. Once they have the social, they'll hold on to it like a bulldog. They will not let it go because you already contracted and admitted that you're a 14th Amendment, and they don't want to let you go. You can try and try and share with people what happens. we've got some members that are working on the railroad, and they have tried and tried every which way to get their standing changed, and they don't want to let it go. They do not want to let them out of the standing they had them when they started.
Hey, Chris.
But it makes sense.
The Matrix,
Yeah.
Matrix is screwing up your voice. They got you talking like a robot. Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, they trying to. I don't know if it's your connection or something.
My other question is, well, because I gave them the estate EIN is because that's the number for the estate for the all capital name.
Yeah.
It's an assisted living place. I'm a certified nurse's assistant, and I don't think I would have a problem. I'm going to try.
Yeah. Go ahead and try and let everyone know what happens.
Do I have to do I have to give them a W-4? Is that what you fill out when you first start?
You have to change your W-4. The biggest thing is you have to change the W-4 to a straight W-8, not a W-8 band, but a straight W-8.
Okay, yeah, I have that written down. The other question is my significant other works for Dodge County Highway in the parts department. Now, apparently some people said that he is a state employee because he works for the highway department.
Mm-hmm.
I took a class a couple of months ago, and the guy said, no, he's not. He can pull out as a taxpayer because he didn't take an oath of office to that job.
Well, it's still, the government's still, he's on the government payroll, right?
Yeah, Dodge County Highway.
Yeah, he's on the government payroll. So whether you took an oath or not really doesn't matter if you're on the government payroll. See, you got to understand that if we don't correct our standing, we are also considered on the government payroll. And the way they do that is through having the Social Security benefits in the background. That's not a SSA 521, which is a withdrawal. It withdraws you from the Social Security benefits. Takes you off the government payroll.
Mm-hmm. And even if you don't work, like some people think just because they don't work like have a so-called government job or whatever, that they don't work for the government. By using the Social Security number, you still are considered a government employee, and in return you're government property or human resource.
That was SSA. What was that?
521.
Go out from this.
SSA 521.
Thank
So,
you.
Bill Razor, taking this course will actually put you in a position to remedy most of the things that we're talking about today, right? So you get your identification cards, or no?
Right.
Not really?
No, what you got to understand is each individual process has its own individual process and its own individual learning process. You know, and a lot of the different services are actually done for you for the most part. You just might be responsible for particular mailings. You know, so understand that it's a service being provided. And it's a lot of the services have do-it-yourself services, or NPC will do it on your behalf. You just take care of certain mailings or whatever. But if that, you know, but just know that. So if you happen to do a do-it-yourself service, it will come with exact instructions on how to do it and how not to do it. It's not in not one service provided is there any type of guesswork involved. You're going to have it. Step 1, wake up in the morning. Step 2, brush your teeth. It's going to have all that in there. You know what I'm saying?
No,
Like, it's no guesswork. So because I want you. I don't want you to have the perception. I don't want you to have the perception that like the prep course is going to teach you everything. It's not. That's not what it's for. It's
No,
a
I understand.
It's a generalized preparation course. That's it. That's just to wake you guys up and give you prep you up for the next phase to come. To give you an overall understanding. That's it.
Right, but in the same breath, you're saying that whatever instructions you're getting, what instructions are you getting from this particular course? Are you?
All right, look, check it out. We're gonna have a whole nother talk about this later because I can't keep going about the course. We could do a one-on-one or something like that, or I have another one. You know what?
Okay.
I'm not gonna do so much explaining on the course because I just self-explanatory. You know what I'm saying? Self-explanatory. You know, if you need more information, you can go to the website and you can get more info sent to you. I'm not a salesman, so I just tell you what it is and what it's not. So we need to move past that. So we got that. Let's move past and start getting some. You guys have any more questions and any more concerns besides the prep course? And the decision is always yours. You know what I'm saying? On however you want to move.
There's questions in the chat.
Okay.
Somebody said how long, how many, well, never mind, because it's pertaining to the course.
The course can be taken at your own pace. It's not a time lapse on it. It's an open book test technically, because you're being told what section to get the answers in. Man, we don't have to do that. You know, let's talk about some stuff, some other stuff.
I got a question.
Somebody said explain the silver bond versus the BC bond. I don't know if you want to go back to that.
Well, that was me, and I'm new to this, so I'm enjoying this conference. But I've never heard of the silver bond, and we've been working on trying to get a birth certificate bond.
Right, yeah. Oh, so you wasn't here earlier then?
I missed the first 30 minutes or so of this conference.
Yeah, that was the first. That was the first thing we covered. The whole generalized concept was explaining to people, for one, to stop chasing a piece of property that we didn't create and that isn't ours, and explaining the liability that comes along with that, and as well as chasing around the Social Security number. So we introduced the silver bond because that's something that is created, by you. So it can't be any liability against you because it's your property.
Or is that in the prep course?
So we're gonna have a huge prep course meeting. Not us, but me and the team gonna have a huge meeting about this prep. But this is good because this is how we fine tune things and perfect things. It might be now it might be a situation where, okay, you know what, let's put certain things within the prep course related to each individual service. You know what I'm saying? Who knows, but I listen to everything and I'm paying attention to it, but know that I don't like repeating myself, and it's like I'm listening, and whatever it is, avoid that. I'm gonna feel it, and I'm trying to get us to move forward on I don't understand about what's the confusion with the prep course. I'm confused. What's
okay? Well, is there a do you have a website separate from American National Prep Course that I can go to?
Yes, the AMPC website. The thing is, when you're gonna get the information for each service that you apply for. You're gonna get information. That's why you guys are jumping the gun on things. You guys are gonna get. You're not gonna do anything that you're not gonna be informed of. It's already it's literally set up a 1, 2, 3 step for you guys. So I don't know. I need somebody to help me understand. Help me understand. Like my whole objective is to get us off of stuff. It's already done for you. All we get if we say go down the hall to the left. There's no need to stop right there and turn to the right and be like, well, what if I go there? But I told you it's right there. So, and everything is going to be laid out for you. it's a lot of guesswork out there and misinformation. That's the reason why these systems are put together. So now when we have a system that put together, now everybody seems confused still.
Well, basically the prep course to me, in reading over the prep course is actually, it's to see where you are, because not everybody is anywhere near on the same level. We wish we were, but we're not. I mean, there's people that come in that have never heard of such a thing, you know. So that's the, you know, that's basically, it's to see where you are and to you know, make you aware of what's available and what it's it just, I think it will make you feel confident of where you are yourself, because sometimes we're kind of lost. We don't know
I think a lot of them are thinking that with the website, you go out there, read everything. They're thinking maybe they don't need a prep course if they can read on the website everything that's going on. That's what I'm getting.
Yeah, and the problem, the problem there tends to be, you have all these hundreds of people going on the website, and every little question they will ask, there will be 100 of the same question asked in 100 different ways, and it is very time consuming. The team has a very hard time dealing with all that, whereas if they took the prep course, they wouldn't even have that question.
Oh, I get it. I just see the comments.
But there's also that this is a SPC conference, and then you got the American National thing tied in with it, which might be throwing people off a little bit. Maybe that's where they're getting the confusion. I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there.
No, and guess what?
Secure party creditor.
On the flyer, it says American National.
Oh, yeah.
That's the concept today.
Yeah, I got that.
And remember, if we talk about marketing and promotion, I can't, let's say it's like, if, I ain't gonna even get that deep. The point of it is that we've gathered together up under the secure party concept. And I've always said it was a concept. The word means nothing at all. So it's like, it's a concept. It's a way of operating. This secure party creditor, American National, this is a proper way of being in the concept of the capacity of a secure party. It's like, but for salesmanship, I have to put secure party so you guys can catch on and not really, you know what I'm saying? It's a psychology game. I understand what y'all need to understand is I understand my people. That's why I do things a certain way. I see I got all y'all on here, right? You know what I'm saying? Y'all keep coming back. So it's like, so that's the whole agenda. It's like, but I don't know, man. I don't want y'all wasting time over analyzing stuff it's like, I wish certain people overanalyze all them documents that be mailing off but don't be knowing what the hell be in it. That's what people need to overanalyze. You know what I'm saying? Overanalyze all the mistakes you made. You know what I'm saying? Overanalyze all that. Like, don't overanalyze something that's not rocket science, and the answers are being provided for you. You're not dealing with people that can't be reached. You got to send multiple emails to all different type of departments. You got to wait 3 weeks. You got to wait 6 months for a return. You got to do all this. Maybe sometimes I be like, I make things too easy. You know what I'm saying? Because people don't appreciate things that you give them for free. People don't appreciate things or respect things that's too easy. You know?
You are right. You're right about that. I used to have a dog that had puppies, and I put out a sign by the road, and I put free puppies, and nobody wanted my puppies. And so then I went and took a sign, and I wrote, puppies, $50, and they were all gone in one day. I'm like, oh my goodness. That was when I was a child, so that's how people are. Yeah.
Well, you're going to get the ones that really are wanting to do this anyway, Hellraiser.
Yeah, I mean, for everybody that's ready, like I said, I can't keep. My thing is, my certain areas is kind of like a good thing and a bad thing because I actually care too much. So I'll go back and forth and keep answering the same damn questions over and over again. I'll keep doing the videos. I'll keep doing proof and evidence, and it's like, you know, that's why I do spend a lot of time developing certain things. So it still take a lot of time and work off me. So I do have more time to do stuff like this and be consistent with it and to build it and to make it better and keep doing the strategic things behind the closed doors. People don't even understand what's going on. You know what I'm saying? But we're trying to present things to you in a certain fashion to expedite the journey. And the wild goose chase that a lot of us have been doing, you know, chasing our tails, not getting results.
I got a question.
What's up, bro?
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you.
The screen just froze up. I can't hear nothing.
We still hear you.
Who was that, Ron? Or
Did we lose him?
Okay.
Yeah, Ron, we see you.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yep, I hear you.
Okay. I just had a question. I was just trying to see, did you maybe have like some recommended sources that we could go to kind of get more information, like for general concepts, like just bonds or, you know, backed up bonds or, you know, different stuff that we talking about with the AMPC? Like,
nah, because only by request, but also I'm not gonna say this out loud because me and the team haven't validated this yet, but you're gonna get all the information you need. Whatever services you're interested in or concepts you're interested in, I promise you're gonna get the information you need related to that particular thing. I promise you.
He's correct. Every process that I got from AMPC, I received every information detailed. You're going to get whatever process you want. They're going to give it to you, and they're very fast and give it to you. So you're going to receive whatever you request.
That's why
I get that. I ain't saying like I already know that y'all that you got me. You know, I already get that. But I was just trying to see if I can get like if you had like some recommended.
I understand what you're talking about. Honestly, I mean, okay, I get what you're saying because everybody naturally wants to, you know, do their own homework and do this and do that. And I definitely recommend that. I never stop learning. And, you know, always try to perfect things within yourself or whatever to give yourself a better understanding. I mean, you're responsible for your ultimate understanding. You know what I'm saying? But as it relates to these individual particular services that's offered between, you know, in this direction, it's not anything out there that I can tell you to go look for on the internet because this is going into the realm of sacredness. You know, we're actually risking a lot having this conference. You better believe it's some. I almost cursed. You better believe it's some trolls and agents on here right now. You think all these great boxes in here, just people that's part of the family? Nah. Look at all these possible agents right here. You know what I'm saying? Come on, man.
Because when I look for stuff on my own, you know, most of the stuff I can't even find by myself. That's what I'm saying.
And you know what? That's a great thing that you can't find this. It's good. It's good. Guess what? Because all the stuff that y'all been able to find ain't been working.
Right. Now he can go to the law library and go look under trust and contract law.
Yeah, you're right.
That'll help him.
Yep, you're right. Yeah,
hey, Ron, I sent you my email address, Ron. I got a bunch of resources I can share with you that I've been studying, and I got a little study group. We study contract law. We ask each other questions, and we share what we find. So it is a lot of study, but I went through a lot of stuff trying to find these answers, and I know what you mean when you feel like you're kind of overwhelmed, and I can't say, you know, to give us a little bit of credit that. The reason why some of us get hesitant and ask so many questions is because we've been duped by this whole TDA thing. We've been duped by all these running in circles things and people going to jail for doing the wrong thing. So I think it's normal to feel a little bit hesitant to just jump into something. But I can't honestly say that I feel more confident dealing with your information, Hellraiser, and AMPC's information because they've been going back and forth with me with clarity and without any problems. I feel comfortable with this information and actually working with you guys. But to give us some credit that if it seems like we're just being stubborn and ignorant, we're not trying to be like that. We just don't want to end up in jail. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's all
Yeah,
I'm saying.
I don't think you're going to be hesitant. I already know. Like I've been in the group long enough to know that it's legit. But I was just trying to get, because I don't want to, like for the prep course, for example. Like I already know that that's something I'm gonna be in, but
Right.
I don't want to get into it, and then they go to talking about certain stuff with like the bonds and stuff, and I'm over here like I don't even get this simple concept like what's a bond, so that's
what you need
that's slowing me down.
Nah, bro,
Catching on.
it's not like it's not. No, and I understand why you feel that way. I'm telling you, I feel you. Your concerns are not a concern no more. What I'm telling you is like, because you believe, because the way it's been sold to us, you know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, you buy because it's been sold to us in packages. We buy this package, and then you're gonna be good, and this gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? It's like, but you're left with the package. You're left on your own to unravel the packet and to make it work. You see what I mean? That's not gonna happen. Everything is like it's really systematic. When you go order your ID, you're gonna get your ID, and many of us on here that have a couple of us on here got the ID in less than a week. You know what I'm saying? When you order your IDP, you're gonna get it. When you order the bond, you're gonna get it. It's gonna be systematic for you. Whatever you choose to educate yourself on past the service being rendered, that's on you. But it don't matter where you personally are. The service is gonna be done. That's what I'm trying to get you to understand. It's gonna be done. Your education continues, but it's not gonna hinder or slow you down, person. You know what I'm saying? That's what I need you to understand. Don't worry about that, because that's not gonna be in your hands. You know what I'm saying? Of course, unless you decide to do because the choice is yours all the way around the board. You could choose to do it yourself, to do certain processes yourself. But even if you choose to do processes yourself, you're gonna have direct instructions.
I got you. Hey, Hellrez, I got two things for you. I'm on your site to go and do this, right? So it's not asking for any type of promotional code or anything that's associated with that. So what do you just put in the amount?
It's in the it's a note right there.
Oh, on the note, so you just put that note in there. Okay, and do that. So once that's done, you're done. You got the course. You do what you need to do.
Take your time with it. You can.
Are there any additional services that you would have to do after this course that you guys are offering?
All I would do, and I'm sure Chris as well will recommend the same thing. Right after that, go right and get that your national ID and become an American national. You know what I'm saying? And from there, my initial recommendation, I'm pretty sure Chris would agree, is that perfected title. You know what I'm saying? And then from there,
are there some others on here that have gone, like how many members are on here that have already gone through the processes? A lot of them. Can any of them speak up to the new? Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Right. Right. So Chris said Chris wants any of the members that's on here that's already became an American national, that's went through the process, to speak up and let the people know your experience and stuff like that.
That's good.
Hey, Rachel, can you hear me?
Hold on 1 second, bro.
All right.
Yeah, this is Abia. When I found out about the American Nationals through Hellraiser, I immediately went and got my ID. And when I got my ID, I got the perfected title. I did a perfected title with them to correct the status with the respective agencies, and from there I actually got my trust set up through ANPC. I actually got a foreign trust set up through them, and from there I got my international driver's permit. And the next thing that I'm doing now is I'm working my way up to the treasury bond. So I have completed those processes, and each and every time I completed the process, I got it with my trust. I paid for my trust material. I got it in like 4 days.
So that's part of the question. So there's actually more cost if you're going to pay for a trust, you're paying.
Right. I mean, you're going to have to pay for services. I mean, that's
I got you. No, that's all I was asking. That's all I was asking.
The reason why I'm going through ANPC, because ANPC, they're very, very knowledgeable when it comes to, especially if you want to get a trust. A lot of people are going to just get the 98 number, but you don't have a declaration of trust. drafted. You don't have none of that. I went through AMPC because I'm not real knowledgeable on how to draft a trust. AMPC know how to do that. So yes, I paid them to do that for me. And why not? Because they're pretty legit. Like, I got my documents within like 4 days. Right now, I'm just waiting on my passport because I went and got a passport through World Services so that I can go to a bank and actually open up a trust account or a business account without me having to use my social. So everything you get from AMPC, when you, like what Hellraiser was saying, with their preparation course, it's preparing you to get you out of the matrix in your mind reading of what you're going into. Because this is a spiritual journey. It's not just, oh, I'm going to get my ID, I'm going to get this, I'm going to get that. You need to know why you're getting it, and you need to understand the importance of having a government backing you up. Because you go on Facebook, and a lot of people say, well, you don't need this documentation, you don't need that documentation. All you need is word of mouth, and that's not true. You carrying the ID, they want to know where you probably got the ID from. Or if you're saying, okay, well, we don't need a driver's license, yeah, we understand it. But what can you show them, to back that up? It's just not going to be word of mouth. So with AMPC, they have perfected some of those processes with the driver's license because it has been authenticated. So it's a lot of processes with AMPC that I do trust because everything is legit. I have not had an issue with anything at all.
When did you join them? How long have you been with them?
I went through AMPC. I started in January. I actually knew a lot of information. I think like before the end of the year, me and Hellraiser introduced me to them. We were talking about them, and I kind of held back because I was still doing all the other processes that I thought was going to work.
Yeah.
But when I finally went through AMPC, it just skyrocketed because once I got my IDs and stuff, and I was like, you know what, this is pretty legit.
Yeah, I seen it was quick when I was on Facebook. I'm like, dang, she moved through that quick.
Yeah, when I got the documentations from their license, I knew how legit it was because the documentation that come behind that stuff.
Right. That your first package with your IT in everybody's mind, we think we just gonna get a piece of plastic in the mail. That first package is gonna show you like, damn, okay, it's a lot deeper than that. You know what I'm saying? So, and I mean, you don't know until you know. I'm like, all we can do is vouch for it. Hey, Free Soul. He been quiet as hell in there. Hey, Free Soul. You gotta speak. You gotta speak. Let the people know your experience.
Right.
I've been with them since I started the process like the early part of last year.
Free Soul did it before me.
And I have had some testimony. I do have some testimony as far as utilizing the ID and the IDP. I have been stopped. Within about 4 minutes of being stopped, basically they came back to the car with my ID and my IDP and basically have a nice day. As far as AMPC and getting, a response, you will get your questions answered in a timely manner. However, the quickest way to, utilize that is via email. When it comes to like your documents and all of that stuff, like he's saying, they give you everything basically spelled out. This is the first process that I've ever been involved with where they actually give you everything that you need. You don't have to guess where to put this, what to do with that. They're giving you complete instruction. And I mean, like he said, when you get that first piece of mail, it should make you just feel like, oh, okay, this is something. It's something that just give you a total different feeling, a total different outlook on like this is not just a joke or just something to do. This is something real. You can seek. You're not gonna find a lot of the things that they have. It's not. You're not gonna get exactly what you need until you actually become involved and start asking questions. Because everything is tailor-made considering what your circumstance is. My situation is probably totally different than everybody on here. But I can definitely attest to the fact that if you got a problem, this is the one-stop shop to get your problem solved.
Amen. Amen.
Definitely.
Amen.
Can I piggyback off you on that?
Go ahead, bro.
I've been with AMPC for since January of last year. Actually, I've been doing it for a long time. Me and Free Soul talks a lot as well. One of the things I can piggyback off is that it does work. Now I've had and I have a testimony myself. I have also been stopped by the police. I live here in the Virginia, Northern Virginia, DC area. Now, what I can tell you based on that, when I travel into the district, I have no problem with any metro police around the district. Now, Virginia, I have no problems with the police now, but in the beginning, they tried, and I think Chris knows my situation also in court. But I can tell you, I can give you one thing. I notice everybody been talking about the silver bond, and they want to know how powerful the silver bond is. I'm a testimony to that silver bond being very powerful in court. Now today, they tried to stick it to me. I'm gonna tell you how powerful it was. They tried to force another attorney that I fired. They tried to force him back on just to gain jurisdiction. When I sent it to circuit court, he was gone. Now they want me to resubmit the bonded claim that I have on the case. Jessica and me and Free Soul was talking about this, just because we already know what the steps they want. They know that bond is a superior bond.
They can't do anything with it.
They can't. And then I went to court today, and me and the chief judge had it out, because when she tried to get the paperwork back, I told her I'm challenging jurisdiction, and she just got quiet. And she said, just let me talk. I'm granting you your request. So she told me, she said the other attorney didn't have it. I said, it didn't have it because I said, you and the courts would not give me their information. So I said, that's not my problem. The problem is that you should be giving it to me. I said, I submitted it. You should give it. They tried to even pin my wife against me. And my wife told me today, and Free Soul and myself were talking about it. She said, I've never seen anybody stand up to the judge that way. And then the judge told me, I give you 1 month to put it in. I said, no, you'll have it back in tomorrow. I said, I don't want to see anybody come here and tell me they don't have it. And I demanded the judge to make sure that lawyer do not leave the courtroom until I get all information. And I said, make sure all processes are done correctly. Now that bond works. They know what I have. They have seen the bonded claim. They have seen the bond itself with the coins on it. And every time I go in there, they talk to me totally different. If I notice, they tell everybody in there, do you understand? But when it comes to me, they say, do you agree? I said, I confirm. I never say yes. I said, I confirm. And when she looks at me, she sits straight up in her chair. And she just gives me her straight divided attention.
Let me also say this too, so you guys have a better understanding of it as well. It's not just a bond. And it's not just doing a claim. It's also remedy that, because this is not just, I don't want everybody to get the misconception that it's 100 proof, because we do have corrupt people that we're dealing with. But however, when they cross that line, there is remedy on how to get that butt. It is definitely remedy. I'm not gonna spell it out. It's for you to just have trust and faith in yourself to take the plunge, become a part of the movement, and see what's at hand, and learn and understand how to utilize this for self. But just know that this is no joke, it's no gimmick. It is for real.
And it works.
And it works.
And we're living proof that it works. And Hellraiser, you're right. You cannot find this anywhere online. Nowhere online at all.
Not going to, it's too private.
Exactly. And that's what that's the word private is exactly what it means. It's not made to sit out here and put in the public for everybody to hear. And everybody cannot understand. Is not going to understand what we're doing. So it takes time to learn, and you got to be willing to go into that position and learn, and not be a problem to seek the help from others that's in this organization.
Exactly. This alone is of value by itself. To look how many people's on the panel. You know what I'm saying? It's like to be a part of it, to be able to reach out to people that have the experience, that are putting in the legwork, you know, to be able to see different faces that are on the same journey as you. This not no secret to mission. Even though we moving in private, we trying to come out, let y'all know we here, and come on back in. Like we can't be stuck outside. It's cold as hell outside. We stuck outside. You just don't want to come in. Eventually, we're gonna have to close the door and wait for you to get ready. That's all I'm saying. Because I'm constantly coming outside, trying to gather y'all together. Hey, if I start getting cold, I'm coming back in. When y'all start waving the white flag, I'll be like, all right, go out there and get them. You realize it's the dead end right there. Oh yeah, the support is in here. We all in here, bro. You're not by yourself. I don't know about y'all, but I went years before I even met like my brother Free Soul. You know what I'm saying? It's like years before I met one person that was on the same type of path I was on. Just mentally, spiritually, and the whole nine. That's why the main dynamic is spiritually and mentally. You know what I'm saying? It's like all this other stuff is just this other stuff that just need to be focused on and done. But ultimately, our objective is to reprogram ourselves mentally and spiritually, so we can reach greater heights in that direction. We spending too much time on this process stuff. We letting you know we figuring this out. We got a lot of this stuff figured out, so we can spend more time being ourselves. So that's the whole point.
I believe you have to live it and just do it. It has to be a part of you. And it's not a part of you, and you have to have what most people, religious people, you have to have the faith. Mm-hmm. If you don't think it's going to work, it's not going to work.
Because it's that paper has it's not the paperwork, it's your energy behind it.
When I'll tell you, and anybody can attest to it, when I travel, when I leave my doors and I travel as a free living man. And when I travel as that living man, I have any of that negative energy as far as anybody stopping me, or even when I go to the post office, I show my ID, I have no problems. The only problems I will say that people are trying to challenge me, the court system here, because Virginia got a corrupt system. But they have challenged me, but one thing about it, they approach me with caution.
Mm-hmm. This is a whole different level of respect.
Yes. How many times I told you that what happens? I say when I walk in with a suit. I walk in, they don't know every time I had the attorney I let go, he asked me when I was sitting down, me and Free Soul was talking about it. I said, he asked me, he whispered over to me, he said, are you a sovereign citizen? I said, who is that?
First thing they go to, you must be a sovereign.
Yeah, and I told him, I said, but I was telling Free Soul, I was telling him, I said, well, I said the Constitution of the United States. I said, not the other one, the United States Constitution. Right. I said, the Constitution of the United States does mention sovereignty. So I said, if you understand the Sovereign Immunity Act, I guess if I'm a sovereign, then you're a sovereign.
He's a sovereign too.
So Yusuf should be protecting my rights. Mm-hmm. So when I told him that, he leaned back over and he sat down. He said, I'm just going to ask the judge I'm going to recuse myself from being your attorney. I said, I told you I did that last time, until the female judge told me she gonna say she denied it, and I object to it. I said, I already knew what your plan was, but like I said, we have a corrupt system, and some things that'll work the first time. So some things you got to go through a couple of obstacles until they find out. But believe me when I tell you, they approach me with very much caution, because they do not know what I'm going to do next or how it's going to come. And all I did was submitted everything the ANPC has helped me to do.
Another thing, what got me in the beginning, let me be honest. Free Soul, me and him, like I said, we go through, we have went through separate processes together to test the waters and different things, to see what works, to cover more ground. And based on all the stuff we went through collectively together independently, this has been the most solid and efficient, hands down. Everything else is just a little icing on the cake. Because we went through so many doors, we have a greater understanding and understand the value of what this situation is. You know what I'm saying? And alongside from that, wouldn't it make more sense to you to be a part of some stuff? Because another issue is, like Free Soul said, we have a corrupt society and a corrupt system. So what if a situation happens, you get jammed up, and they happen to detain you unlawfully? you who's gonna cover your ass? Because you can't get yourself. You can't do no paperwork while you in jail.
Right.
Right. So what are we gonna do about that for everybody that got all this super paperwork and they're traveling on their own?
Get y'all's numbers.
You kind of can, but we won't get into that.
Yeah.
It's hard to do.
Yeah. Well,
You have to know some people.
What I know is that the nation that I'm a part of, the nation that we are a part of, a few of us on here, we not playing. We backing each other up. We not playing. We not playing. But that's what y'all need to understand. We not ain't no one for all. One for all. It's like it's if one of us go down, it's a personal issue. That's how I'm taking it. You know what I'm saying? That's how all of us take it. It's a personal issue.
Yeah, and another thing I
true union
along with that was that when you get a bonded claim done, you have the option of putting somebody in there as a power of attorney. So that so if you do get in trouble, there is somebody there, and we will be right there. I don't know if any of the Park County people are on here. If they are, if any of you have anything to share that would be helpful, because there's other Indiana people on here. I don't know if any of you from Park County are on, but if you are, if you could unmute and share some of your latest things, because that is hands down one of the toughest counties we've been dealing with is Park County. So, any of you that have any ideas to help back us up, because the judge is very, very, very corrupt. And he seems to have power to, even when we do appeals, he's able to, what he's doing here, because it says my internet connection is good. But what's going on is that when we do appeals, he's contacting the appeals court, and he's making them kick the appeals back to him somehow.
Is it federal or government, state government?
It would be, well, the appeal would be, let me think here. It looks like they're working together. It's on both levels.
Well, if you get it to the appellate court, take it past the appeals, you can send it to the appellate court or the feds and try and have them step in, possibly.
Okay. Yep. Yeah, because there's federal lawsuits on them and everything, and they're just not wanting to stop. They're just, dirty. I don't know. Is anybody there? Are any of you on from Park County?
No, I don't think so.
Yes, I'm on.
Oh, okay.
From Michigan.
Oh, good. Okay. Can you give any updates of what's going on recently over there with that judge?
Well, I don't have anything recent. Probably not for almost a month or 2 months.
Are they leaving everybody alone pretty much, or what do you think's happening? Is that
yes,
as far as
we
that
haven't
goes?
had an issue since December. So,
Are these criminal or civil?
Has anybody traffic? And they're calling them. No, what they do is every single case, they will stop you and just give you a ticket, and they'll put it as a criminal charge on the ticket. Everything they do is criminal.
Do they have equity courts
Supreme
there?
Court.
How about equity courts?
I'm not sure what they would call it. I mean, it's just
You might look into that.
Is there a Hall of Justice? Because you go to the Supreme Court and just have it overruled, especially if it's traveling.
That judge wouldn't have anything to do with an equity court, though, is what I'm saying.
Right.
How do you find out?
But still, I mean,
I don't know.
you're speaking civil rights still, though, with traveling.
You have to kind of look that up legally. But someone had mentioned that to me before, because it's all about, you know, presentments and things. So if you could find an equity court in the county around you, you might go around that.
I see.
Well, my understanding is that every bankruptcy court, or the bankruptcy court in the county is the equity court. That's what I read. Is that what you're talking about?
No, this would be separate. So you might look into that. I'm gonna try to find some more information on it. Since it didn't involve me, I didn't really get a lot of information on it, but I'll ask more questions to the person.
Yeah, because yeah, it's I mean, Hellraiser there, you can probably find out because it's you know where they are. They're not too far from me.
They are messing with you.
Like I said, though, for my studies, I'm pretty sure you can take it to an appellate court, send it past the appeals, or get into the Supreme Court, and they will, if it's dealing with traveling, they should be able to dismiss it if it's dealing with that, because they've already ruled against it. That no license, no insurance, no problem is pretty much what the United States Supreme Court said. So if you take it to the Supreme Court, that's basically like here in Michigan. If an officer pulls me over and I'm not in commerce and they give me a ticket, I'm going to tell them, give me a ticket, please. I'm going to take it to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court's going to say, well, it's been ruled against.
Okay, so look, so this is the thing. First of all, what are they doing? What statement are they putting on that particular contract or presentment to make that offense criminal?
Mm-hmm.
You see what I mean?
Right.
They have to be changing something within that the contract, like whatever testimonial they putting on inside that contract and presenting it to the courts. They have to be saying like he was going 60 miles an hour on the E-way on the construction zone or whatever, some stuff, you know, to make it a criminal offense. You can't just make running a red light a criminal offense. Once the judge gets that ticket and see red light, it's not gonna. He can't do that. He has to be fraudulently manipulating the contract, manipulating the ticket. So what we need to do is probably prepare ourselves for certain things like
It's
that.
just operating never license.
Right, because look, if we're operating up
It's
under
just operating never license.
So there's no hurt party. There's nothing criminal about it. Nobody's hurt.
Yeah.
That's what I'm not.
You're not in commerce.
Yeah, ain't no injury.
What I'm telling you is, I guarantee you when you look up that case, I guarantee you it's not listed as a traditional traffic ticket. He's putting something else in there, a code or something. I guarantee you that. You know what I'm saying? So to help protect us, that just in general, logically speaking, we need to take proper measures to prepare for certain circumstances of being pulled over. Like if I get pulled over today, it's gonna be documented. It's gonna be on because I got a dash cam. He's gonna be recorded. I'm gonna be getting all of his information on camera and in writing. You know what I'm saying? Along with presenting him with the fee schedule. Those of us who have ours. And exactly. So the thing is, if he happens to go to court, we have physical proof of what the actual stop was really for.
Right.
Rather we take pictures of the original the ticket or whatever, and taking pictures of the original ticket, making copies of the original ticket, and actually videotaping the whole scenario and speaking out loud, letting them. So if he say, if he's writing you a ticket for running a red light. You know what I'm saying? Like you're repeating what he's presenting you, you know, out loud. But you're not gonna accept it. But you're gonna repeat what he's giving you.
With his name and his badge number.
With his name and his badge. So for the record, for the record, officer such and such, badge number such and such, such and such, such. You're giving me a ticket for speeding. Yes, I am. Oh, we got you now.
Right.
Thank you very much. Go to court. When the judge says proceed or whatever like that, okay, for the record, let's take a look at Exhibit A. You know what I'm saying? Like that's I mean, because they're manipulating the contract, and I've seen that. I've seen that done. That's actually happened to me before. They actually manipulate the contract, and it's been occasions where if you beat them on the civil level, on the lowest level, they'll extend it to federal. You know, and they'll up it because they can't deal with you. You pretty much you beat them, and they'll pass it on to their big brother. That's how they try to do it. But they manipulate the contract. That persecutor manipulates the contract.
Depending on what it is, you could possibly ask for an Article 3 concierge judge. Go a different route about it, depending on what the offense is.
Yeah, you're right.
That takes them right out the game. That takes that judge away. There ain't no more dealing with them after that, because then he can't properly address you.
I didn't quite get that. What was that you said?
You can ask to have him replaced with an Article 3 concierge judge, which deals with particularly rights of being American national. That takes the judge right out of the jurisdiction. He can no longer deal with you or address you properly.
So you can ask the state judge or state that in
Well,
court?
you don't ask him. No, you take it past him or above his head, or you put it right there with that judge, either or. As long as you put it in writing, and like you're requesting for a different judge to be on the case, and you want an Article 3 concierge judge, somebody that can address you in the proper status, because he's being an Agent Smith, and you gotta trump him the Neo way, and that's going above and beyond. Once you go Article 3 concierge, that takes you. Now we're acting like American nationals. Now we're being dealt with in our proper status and proper persona when you do it on that level.
So
because that's where once again all this. Go ahead.
Can you file in a request for that? Can you file in a request for that?
Are you talking about like as in a way?
I said, can you file in? Yes, can you file in a request for an Article 3 judge?
I would think you would do that in the midst of your motion, by way of motion, because remember, when we're dealing with court, we don't really have a voice when we board the ship. So we have to present our voice through proper presentments and declarations before we even enter into the ship, putting it on the record with the clerk by way of motion before the case. So the first in line is the first in town. So as soon as we get a new case, we need to be at that recorder's office getting that stuff in the record ASAP, because a lot of times they don't even give us enough time to act and prepare a case. I've seen people get into certain situation, they got to be in court in 2 weeks, or that's actually not enough time. It should be at least 30 days, but they're purposely doing that, and nobody's challenging that.
Because you can act as your own counsel, never go past the bar. They've already made it very clear that once you pass that bar, you're already in dishonor. So they say, you can walk to the building, but I'm pretty sure it works that bar. That's why you have to have a bar card or have to be licensed. Because after that, anybody that walks past it, they have everybody to come on in and give their testimony. It's a bunch of nothing being said between the people that are there. If you don't have a bar card, you're not heard by anybody. So if you stand in the benches, you say, here, I'm standing in my own counsel, you make your point for the record. Now they have to record what you're saying, because you are the public at that point. The minute you pass that bar, can't nothing be heard. So if you don't want to go Article 3 or anything like that, you could stand your ground, try it. And if they get bailiffs in there, make sure you do one thing before you go in there. You write yourself as a superior officer of the court, of your court, what you bring in, at least something that you're going to turn in with the recorder, and assign yourself superior officer. So when they go to touch you, you say, are you really going to touch an officer of the court or arm an officer of the court? And once again, these are word creatures, even officers, bailiffs. They hear these things, that puts an immediate stop. It's all antivirus talk. And that's how you got to treat them. You got to act like you're more superior than they are. Say, I do not want to make contract with you. And mind you, if I go past this bar, I'm making contract against my will. Stand your ground, and you can hold firm and do it that way. It's another way of going about it.
Yep, I always state that for the record. I want to go back to the proper preparations and understanding as far as protecting ourselves legally in the beginning of the contract. So the beginning of the contract deals as soon as you get pulled over. So Chris, what's the proper way that we supposed to be signing off on certain presentments like tickets on the when we get them? Yo, Chris, you there? Let me see if I lost her.
Without prejudice. That means I need no rights. That word, that sentence right there.
It's another way.
No, I'm just throwing that in there.
It's another way. Basically, we're tying our use. We're signing it when we basically tying it to, because we have a fee schedule, So we're putting a UCC number to that particular fee schedule, along with, I forgot the exact verbiage. Let me see. I have it written down, but that's how we sign off on it in an initial phase of the contract. And we got to understand how to address certain contracts once it's presented to us, because we could have got out of a lot of things if we understood how to contract initially. Because sometimes they might force you to sign it. You know what I'm saying? So you let them know that you're acting under duress, and you're gonna, but you have the right to sign it as you very well please. You know what I'm saying? But that's going to be tangible proof that you've reserved your rights within that contract, and actually you bonded that contract by connecting to your non-UCC that's attached to your fee schedule.
Right, like you said, they may force you into it.
Yeah, because we can't take risks, fighting with these guys on the road, because as we can see, they will shoot and kill our ass.
You put them in brackets
too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Well, even your signature, anything you put in brackets gets taken off next to the goals. Just like with the zip code, everything.
Somebody said, how do you get out of a parking ticket? Parking tickets, you know what? That type of stuff, I don't personally have any problems with no more. I send the same letter at the same time. As soon as I personally get a ticket, I just send that shit right back, with a certain letter. But I realize the letter don't work for everybody, But the people that have tried it has been people that haven't done anything as far as correcting their standing and stuff like that. So I don't know how they looking at me, but I had one time where they tried to I beat them with the ticket, and they tried to just change it in the system. Like they changed my name and they changed the plate number. So really, they still removed it off of my name and my registration number, but it's still in the system. They do stupid, goofy stuff like that, but because they don't want to take the L. But once we correct our standing, we'll realize a lot of the paperwork that we actually have to start working magically.
Right.
To be honest.
Right. Definitely. I'm hopping on that, believe me. Because it is very hard to draft your own trust, your own constitution, your own everything. That's why I like what we're doing here, because this is the idea of a union. This is the main idea of a union, is keep us together. And I mean, after enough time, we'll be drafting our own flag, once you get with that flag etiquette and like the family crest. I got into that a while ago, and that's very important.
Yeah, you're right.
Tracking all that back does protect you with that family crest. That's your symbol. That's your royalty, pretty much.
Yeah, you're right. Mm-hmm.
And if you can't find it, go back 8,000 years, find the original people, because we are connected. Stick with that crest.
Absolutely.
The Bible tells you the colors to use.
Yep. Oh yeah, it tells you quite a few things when you know how to forensically inspect something. That's really important. Forensic inspection of documents.
Mm-hmm.
Once you start reading the Bible in that language, it's a whole new ballpark. Like, whoa.
Mm-hmm. Most definitely.
Nothing from the New Testament. Don't believe that one. I was talking to a minister about that, and he was kind of agreeing with me. He was like, when they had wrote these things, they wrote them for people, that day and age. And we're only talking 500 years ago. We're not talking even thousands, okay? So when they rewrote the Bible, man, once again, rewrote the Bible, it was a king paying a bunch of scholars to rewrite the Bible. And it was basically their ideas in their language. To back in the day, to suffer meant to hang your hat. As in nowadays, to suffer means to suffer. So it's in a whole different comprehension when you're reading it. There's even, stories that may talk about vessels and how the covets and vessels. And what we're doing here is that same description of some of the prophets of Isaiah, Samuel's, and all of them, where they built a covet for everybody to come under and bring their vessels for protection against this impure world that we live in. So, you know, when you start getting into how to decipher that and what it's actually talking about, it's talking about this stuff right here that we're doing and working on these processes and actually understanding what this means, or overstanding better. Because it's all, everything's manipulated. It's even just like, okay, for instance, national, or what was it? Is it NRA? What is it earlier that we were talking about? The NRA?
You said the NRA?
Trying to think of it. No, not the NRA, but what we were talking about earlier. The national, there was a form, a tax form, she said it was.
I think she's talking about the W-8.
She was talking about the 1040.
No, not the W-8.
1040 NR, non-residential.
1040 NR, and it's for an American national. So it's actually, you know, if you take it's NRA. You know what I mean? They just, you see everything they do, like Kia or Fiat, the car they came out with. I try and talk to people about this, and I'm like, you know what Fiat money is? They're like, are you talking about the car? You know what I mean? So people are just so lost in translation of what things really are and actually comprehend what these things are. You know, it's sad.
Well, I
It
can't
really
talk
is.
about being lost because I was there too.
Oh no, we all were.
Definitely. That's how
been lost.
That's how you become found.
But this is what we were taught, though.
Yeah.
You know, this is our leaders. You know, the people we're supposed to trust and look up to. This is what they taught us all. And you look all around, and they talk about like our education system, and they're like, Americans' education system sucks. They're one of the worst in the world. We got a second grade reading level for most of us, and the shit they don't even teach us. We're supposed to be learning civics, government, all that shit when we can actually comprehend it, as opposed to that ass backwardsness of it now.
Why would they teach you? Why would they teach you government? So what, you can go try to start your own?
Contract law.
Crazy?
Right.
Exactly. Everybody should be homeschooled.
Right. Oh, my kid ain't going to school. Let me tell you what. I'm trying to start my own school here. I'm not playing.
That's what we
manipulation.
need, our own school.
This is that's what I'm working on. So we can turn this into.
Right.
Yeah.
Financial
this is how we need to do it. Hey, I'm a contractor. I'll build houses. I'll build foundations. Like, I'm telling y'all, this is where.
Build the bank first, B. Build a bank.
I know. I'm working on it. I'm going to buy a bank that's already. Dude, there's banks all over you can buy. They're going out of business.
I bet this whole platform got a gift, and we don't need nobody but this platform if we want to make it right.
Absolutely. Governments are ran by a small group of people.
Exactly.
Smart group.
Yep. That's why I like what you said earlier. You got to, you still got to screen people and get to that point, because everything pure has been touched by a man and turned into something ugly. And that's, it's everything.
Because it was a snake. It was a snake in the grass in the beginning. That's why.
That's why.
Yep.
That's why I come in. That's why I come in stumping sometimes. Because I know they there.
Yep.
That's the thing. We got to be that way, because we got to secure the fort while we're building it. You know what I'm saying? We're building. They comfortable.
Yeah.
They're comfortable.
This is the art. Shit.
So we really can't afford to go to war. You know what I'm saying? We can't afford to make a lot of noise. So it's like the Underground Railroad. You know what I'm saying?
Right. You don't want to go to war. That's what they love.
I almost got this idea that we could control the government we have, and I lost that idea. That one, they're too far gone.
Yeah, nah.
I do it old timers, and they always tell me, I've been into that. Oh, you'll never get anywhere. And I'm like, but did you know about international law? Did you know about maritime law? They're really? Like, yeah, that's where y'all weren't even paying attention. Then I get some people that get stuck on pre-Cold War history. I said pre-Cold War history. Let's go back 8,000, 2,000. Thousands of years of civics, and you started doing your pre-Cold War shit. That was 1950s. Let's date back further. That's where you really start to learn and comprehend what's been going on.
Yeah, you're
right. Bankruptcy is crazy. Bankruptcies existed for 8,000 years. When you understand that concept, that changes everything.
Interesting.
That's the original commerce, the original contract. That's pretty much from what I get the whole Babel is. The story of Babylon. It was the original contract. The first contract was its own beast, its own creation. Even like fictitious entities recently, in I think it was 1891, they had finally passed it in law where the fictitious entity has the same rights as a human being. Now, doesn't that sound like a story out of the Bible talking about the devil trying to have man's body? You know what I mean? It's the same damn thing, just wrapped up in another package.
Hey man, hey Al play too much. He over here in the chat room talking about you guys don't believe in Yahshua. he say you
We
mean
believe in all of it,
he
brother.
say you mean there's no God? Y'all losing me. Man,
there is God, my friend. There is God.
I've learned
that is good. Whatever name you put on him, he is great.
Yeah, when you talk about religion, I kind of sit back and listen to some of this stuff I don't agree with, so I'll just listen.
Believe me, I've had to touch on every aspect of history, even when I sat down with other Baptists and all that and talked to them about it, because they're all, well, you know, this man said this and this man said that. And I said, so at what point have, you know what I'm saying? If it's constantly been altered throughout time, how can anyone say that it's the true thing? So let's all, if we all want to get correct here, let's all go back to the original tablets where all religion came from, because even all 7 of them came from the same things. They all came from the same spot, the same word, and it just got changed throughout what my word means in your language. You know what I mean? Like in everybody's language, 2 + 2 = 4. Nobody went to war over math problems, but here we go to war over whose God did what, or you know what I'm saying? They've gone to war in the name of religion for years.
There's
and
a
that's
question.
what I see.
Razor. Do you see it by Al Johnson?
I thought that was. I see Teach It Prophet.
He's above that. He's asking about can he rescind the contract about his son getting railroaded to a plea bargain.
That's from Al?
Yeah, up above the one about God.
He said my son was railroad to take plea bargain. Rescind the contract of the class. With that, stuff like that be kind of sticky because he already contracted in and it's already in the midst. I'm pretty sure it's the way. Well, just off what I know right now, he would have to hurry up. Like in that situation, he would have to bypass, probably come straight in, maybe even pass the ID part, skip the ID part and go perfect the title and do the bonded claim against the case.
Yeah, that's what I would say too.
Right.
I
Get that bond taken care of.
Yeah, so that's
Or he could do a bonded claim on him.
On them?
In his behalf.
Yeah.
He can do a bonded claim in his behalf.
Okay.
Is he in?
It doesn't make a
Are
difference.
they holding him now?
Oh.
Well, I was going to say, if you can't do the bonds, you can just go habeas corpus, or you can say you can't hold it against my will, or you have to have it in writing, but you can't hold it against their will. It's extortion, and send it to the higher courts.
I want to create a stunning website. I've already done it with Wix. Let me show you how it's done.
Okay, they said how to do a bonded claim. That's one of the processes through AMPC.
Okay, just for your information, we did have a judge. There was somebody that was in jail. They didn't have their own claim. One of the members wanted to see if they could bond them out with a silver bond. That was in Nevada, Las Vegas, I believe. And they called the judge and said that they had a silver bond, and they were wondering if they could bond him out. And the judge said absolutely that we could. He said if you come in and bring bond money, they release them right away. But he said if you put a silver bond in process, and we said okay, we put the silver bond in, and then for some reason somebody else went and bailed him out before that 24 hours. I don't know what the deal was there, but still he took the bond, and there was a tracking number on the bond. Now this is where it gets really interesting. The bond was mailed to the judge by just a copy, not the actual, a copy was mailed to the judge.
They don't like her talking.
By registered mail with a green return receipt. The judge got it. Can you hear me? Is it better now? Can you hear?
Yeah. Okay, yep.
Yeah.
Oh goodness, somebody's messing.
Hurry up, get it out.
All right. So we mailed it to the judge that a copy of the bond with a registered mail with a green return receipt. The judge got it. He signed for it. And the funny thing is the green return receipt, we were trying to track it on USPS tracking. What happened is it showed the green return receipt that the bond had gone to Puerto Rico after the judge signed for it.
Whoa.
Now, what do you make of that? It showed it had gone to Puerto Rico, then it came back and he got the signature receipt after it had gone to Puerto Rico.
Huh.
So that tells us that these bonds are powerful.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I'm
I hate
gonna
to take
have
y'all back.
to drop off here, everybody, but
Yeah, I think I'm gonna join you.
Well, we appreciate your input for sure. Oh yeah.
Damn, I missed the
Can
good
you
part.
tell me how we do the whole national ID thing and all that? Hate to take you back to that, but I was working the whole time we were on.
Al Johnson say, "Wow, sign me up."
Do you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
So you gotta sign
Where
up
do I
for
go
it.
into that? Sign up where?
She was asking about the getting the ID.
You guys to go through the course.
Sign up where?
Hold on 1 second.
You gonna put it in the
NACP.
chat
Yeah.
ANTC?
ANCP. American
He's
National.
great.
ANC.
He's great. Put it in
I
the
might
chat.
have it backwards.
There it is.
There you go.
Pulling it up. All right, where is it?
Print screen it with your phone.
Do you have that on your website, Hellraiser?
On the Hellraiser Legacy?
Yes.
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. No. That's the front door right there. I just posted in the chat.
Okay, thank you.
And the reason why I took it off, it was on the site. Like I say,
I thought I saw it there.
It's an infestation going on. I'm just trying to, get rid of the bugs.
Okay.
You can't allow them unlimited access to the sources and the goods. It don't make sense. Like, no.
Yeah.
Okay.
No. So
it's funny, man.
Signing up
people
for
try
this.
to come up with what it costs.
Is there a fee? Is there a fee and everything that goes with this?
You say what now?
When you sign up for this, whatever this is there a fee also signing up for that?
Yeah, it's right there. It's $250, but you guys get a discount with the promo code right there.
Must don't see the post.
Okay.
The post is right there.
Do you not see the
What
post?
exactly am I paying for?
I can't go back to that. Did you just get on the call?
She said she was
Right
working
now,
earlier.
so I was working the whole time, but I was hearing you, and I was hearing you.
Will that Hellraiser? Would that take her to the American National site also?
No, that's just for the prep course.
You might go ahead and put that out there too.
Okay.
That way she can kind of see what it's about.
So check this link too.
Okay. I think I have the American National site.
Oh, you do? Yeah, if you go out there and look into it, it'll tell you a lot what you're asking.
Okay.
And then
I've already done everything else. I've done DDA, I've done UCC, did the birth certificate stuff.
Well,
Form 56.
yeah, you definitely came in late talking about the birth
Yeah.
certificate. Now,
No, that's I did a long time ago that.
Okay. Okay, so I posted both links.
All right, thanks. I'll check it out, and if I have any questions from there, hit you up.
Let me see something. So anybody have any other questions or whatever, any other topics or whatever? I ain't gonna be able to pull all nighter today. I ain't gonna lie.
No. I got a question. This in particular, just curious. I went with your set collateral on there and all that straight to put on there for the initial filing. Because, they constantly tell you, putting those numbers out there, nothing personal. I know we're using different verbiage and language, but with all those numbers on there, that's not going to cause any problems or pretty much not affecting in any way.
About what you already did?
Yeah.
No.
I went with your set of collateral. No problem. Okay.
Yeah, nah, it's a completely different process.
Now, what about, that was the other thing too, the Secretary of State and the Department of State, should I have done it in either order or does it not matter?
As far as what?
Like putting it on and through the Secretary of State? Or is that just putting them on notice?
You talking about the UCC?
Yeah, because they got a non-UC. Well, I guess it would be the non-UCC through the Secretary of State.
I mean, it's always going through them. It's always going through Secretary.
Is that basically Department of State? Is that what I wasn't? That's I guess what I'm trying to figure
Department
out.
of State is when we do authentication.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. I get it now.
Yeah, I don't want to mix processes as far as UCC.
No. Yeah, I didn't want to go too far into it. That was just a quick
that's
question.
a whole another scenario. So,
yeah.
Yeah, man. I haven't had no sleep, so.
Everybody ready to wrap it up? We got.
I think it's time.
Yeah. Good night, all.
It's a good time. It's a good time to stop.
Peace, everybody.
It's been what, 4 hours?
Right, 4 hours. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
We actually wrapping it up early this time. Sure.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, man. Y'all don't be knowing how much energy I be putting into this stuff, man.
Oh yeah, we know.
Yeah, cause y'all pay attention.
Now, one quick question. Chat head. I'm looking on mine. I can't find the chat heads. So I got to look in the sharing box.
Can't find what?
Chat.
The chat head for the promo. Like I just got share video participants. I'm on my phone, so.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I mean, don't even. As long as you got the link, bro. Don't even worry about none of that stuff, man. I don't be babysitting stuff. It's like, just.
Oh yeah.
I'm just gonna shut down the promo after 7 days. So it's whatever. I don't.
Right.
Just do it.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, man. So I mean, y'all know how to reach me or whatever. We finna get back to work. I'm taking a day off tomorrow, then I'll get back to it.
Yeah, go chill in the pool.
Yeah, that's what I need right now. Definitely. So, yeah, man, y'all be cool, man. Good to see y'all again.
Where in Michigan is the Prophet Samson from?
Michigan. I'm from Ann Arbor.
Where in Michigan?
They're one of the succeeded states. Ann Arbor.
Ann Arbor. I'm in Waterford.
Okay. Yeah, it's hard around here. They will run you around. That's
Yeah,
for sure.
I wasn't able to succeed with my UCC either.
Yeah, you got to go about it in different ways.
Okay.
That's for sure. You definitely got to use, just like you know, trying to claim title. I had to find a whole different document to create land out of it for them to comprehend what I was saying to them and conveying.
Yeah,
And registered mail. That registered mail is one of the things, or certified mail. When it bonds and puts it to them, they have to do with whatever you tell. Or like you said, putting it in the paper. That's another way. So.
I sent them my original copies and they rejected it and they won't send them back. So
Big Department of State.
Yep, to Lansing.
Hmm.
The UCC unit. So I want to just get the silver bond, I think.
Everybody want that silver bond.
Yeah.
Yes, man.
Yeah, well, that's what I want to get hooked up to, because y'all got everything in there, it sounds like.
Yeah, just notice. So, you know, like I said, just prep yourselves for the different processes. You know, and so in order to get the silver bond, you got to have the silver first. So start investing to the silver.
Somebody took some silver and they thought that was enough. Don't do it fraudulently. Have the silver for real. Don't go to Google and get a picture of 21 pieces of silver.
I have the silver and I have the national ID and I have the national passport for a long time, and I've canceled the voting card. And I used to have a UCC, but I let it expire, and I never had an agricultural lien. So it doesn't sound like it's all that worth going for the birth certificate. Just go for the silver certificate and change your standing. So that's kind of what I think I'm going to start doing through you guys.
Definitely.
Yeah. Like I said, I've had a lot of trouble in Michigan, at least 5 attempts walking down in person trying to hand them my stuff, and they kept telling me, oh, we're not going to do this, we're not going to do that. And I about got the sheriff out on them and said, you guys better do your jobs. But they were trying to tell me, like Razor said before, there's many gatekeepers, and they don't want to let us through no matter what. They don't want to let it go. We're their collateral.
It's like they be on security like it's theirs or something. Like.
Well, what blew my mind is when I talked to the Department of State and they told me that these public roads were privately funded, and I was like, wait a minute, you know how illegal that is? And better yet, the taxpayers' dollars, because our roads are screwed. So where's all the taxpayers' dollars? Well, we already know that it's going to the interest on all the money they done borrowed. But Michigan is a state that succeeded. So I figured in Illinois and all that, you guys were having more problems because they were states that weren't succeeded. But I think seeing as how Michigan is succeeded, that it makes it even harder to get out of it, because they've already basically announced their sovereignty and claimed everybody in here, because they're operating on their own and in private.
And
they're already a private. Basically, it's the private Michigan. It's Michigan, the private state of Michigan that's funding the roads.
And they don't allow you to do a utility, transmitting utility either on your filings.
I think it's all about process too. That's why I'm about to hop into what we got going on here.
You're filing.
Would this also help get guardianship of an adult son with the bond, the silver bond?
I don't know about that. What are you trying to do?
I have an adult son that's mentally incapacitated.
Oh, okay.
Dad's making him a ward of the state in Missouri, and I'm in Michigan. And so I had to hire an attorney just to get my petition in. And so I'm trying to figure out the right way of getting him back. My ex doesn't want him, but he doesn't want him to go to me. So he hired an attorney to block me from getting guardianship and bringing him back to Michigan.
I don't know. You have to ask Chris about that.
All right.
I would think you have to do some type of power of attorney.
Some type of what?
Power of attorney, so you can do things on his behalf because of the condition, and then perfect his title and go through the same process or whatever.
And have them in a trust, right? Because
Absolutely.
that's what probate court's all about, is the trust.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that initially it's just that power of attorney, so you can do it on his behalf.
Okay. Thank you.
Now, I did miss that little.
What's that?
I missed that little bit earlier when we were talking about the kids, because that is one issue I'm going to be dealing with here shortly in the next year or so. Is because I know if you don't put your kid in school, they want to try and intervene, and I missed that first little bit on about the kids. What should we do? Like, do I claim my child in my collateral? Do I claim him?
Yeah, it's the.
How do I claim it?
On that aspect, it's sort of the same process, but it's just
okay.
It's different verbiage and things backing it.
Gotcha.
Same boat, so just think it just flow a different way.
Okay, hop on it and run it.
Mm-hmm. But in different situations where people like what she spoke on, she got to do things a little bit different.
Right. Nothing going right now, so.
Yeah, I would think with her is just power of attorney, and she has access to his birth certificate, going through the whole perfected title process. All right, y'all. I'll see y'all online sometime.
All right, I appreciate you, man. You have a good night. God bless all. Great talking to you.
All right, bro.